Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about a believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe...
Well, nobody else could make a decision but me because I was the president, and the final decision comes to the president.
You know, it's easy enough for a Monday morning quarterback to say what the coach should have done after the game's over. But when the decision is up before you, and on my desk I have a motto which says the buck stops here, the decision has to be made.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I could say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
President?
Yep.
Mr. President, I want to raise an issue that I think you've been lurking out there for 2 or 3 weeks and casting specifically in national security terms. You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And I'm the one who will not raise taxes. My opponent now says he'll raise them as a last resort or a third resort. But when a politician talks like that, you know that's one resort he'll be checking into. And my opponent won't rule out raising taxes, but I will, and the Congress will push me to raise taxes, and I'll say no. And they'll push, and I'll say no. And they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips. No new taxes.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush.
In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime, and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. This is the story of Donald Trump. His entire life, Trump has believed he's above the law, that no one would ever dare hold him accountable. He lies, he rips off workers, he sexually abuses women.
Hey, when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
He cheats in business. He cheated on his wife with a porn star and paid her off so the American people wouldn't find out during an election. But in the criminal justice system, ordinary Americans have had the courage to find him accountable, time and time again.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Donald Trump, guilty on all 34 felony counts.
For the first time in history, we have a convicted felon running for president. And to take on this case, we need a president who has spent her life prosecuting perpetrators like Donald Trump. He tried overturning Georgia's free and fair election.
I just want to find 11,780
votes.
He's tried to escape any responsibility for instigating the January 6th attack on our Capitol.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
And if elected, Trump has promised to overturn laws that would keep him accountable and exact retribution on anyone he considers an enemy, even warning of a bloodbath if he doesn't get his way. So we, the people, have a chance to render our own verdict on Donald Trump. We are the jury he most fears. When we vote this November, we vote for justice, accountability, and the rule of law that keeps America free.
Never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
It does look like we're going to have an ad hoc march stepping off here. There's a crowd surge heading east.
Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. I will tell you right now.
We're going to give riot warnings. Yeah, we're out of here. We're going to give riot warnings. We're going to try and get compliance, but this is now effectively a riot.
49 hours declaring it a riot.
5 to 50 be advised. They're trying to breach and get to the Capitol.
Hold the line! Hold the line! Hold the line! We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol to the upper level! Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. Bring out Pence! Bring out Pence! Bring out Pence! Punch forward!
We can't hold this. We're gonna get too many people. Look at this vantage point, man.
We're trying to hold the upper deck. We're trying to hold the upper deck down. We need an area for the House members. They're all walking over now through the tunnels. We need to move now.
Copy.
If we lose any more time, we may lose the ability to leave. So if we're going to leave, we need to do it now. We lost the line. We lost the line. All MPD, pull back. All MPD, pull back to the upper deck. ASAP.
H208 with 4 members. The door's barricaded. There's people flooded the hallways outside. We have no way out.
Officers still remaining on the House floor, so we can secure the members on the other side. Copy. Officers down! Get them up! Get them up!
And if I win, I will be looking very, very strongly about pardons. And I mean full pardons with an apology to many, an apology. They were peaceful people. These were great people. The crowd was unbelievable. And I mentioned the word love, the love in the air. I've never seen anything like it.
itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical. Hold it.
Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by with you.
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life tour. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters. Okay? It's like incredible.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one other
go ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, sit down. Oh, you're a clown. Sit down. Look at you.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts. Alternative facts.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
I ain't talking politics, I'm talking life.
I ain't talking politics, I'm talking life.
When my days are through, America, I gave my best to you.
Joe, thank you for your historic leadership.
In the words of the great Steph Curry, we can tell Donald Trump, night, night.
Get loud! Another round of shots! DNC, turn out for what?
Her empathy is her strength.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
We're all Americans, and together, let's all choose Kamala Harris!
Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you.
Donald Trump tried to throw away your votes.
Is it weird? Absolutely. Take it from an actual billionaire. Trump is rich in only one thing: stupidity. It's dangerous. It's not just me saying so. It's Trump's own people.
Donald Trump has suffocated the soul of the Republican Party.
Donald Trump would sell this country for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
They are out of their minds.
You're going to have a hard time believing this, but so help me, I triple-checked it. Since the end of the Cold War in 1989, America has created about 51 million new jobs. I swear I checked this 3 times. Even I couldn't believe it. What's the score? Democrats 50, Republicans 1.
If Republicans are being intellectually honest with ourselves, our party is not civil or conservative. It's chaotic and crazy. And the only thing left to do is dump Trump.
The future is always worth fighting for. And that's the fight we are in right now.
So let's compare their resumes, shall we? One candidate worked at McDonald's while she was in college at an HBCU. The other was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and helped his daddy in the family business. Housing discrimination, that is. She became a career prosecutor while he became a career criminal. With 34 felonies, 2 impeachments, and 1 porn star to prove it. Meanwhile, he's a 78-year-old, lifelong predator, fraudster, and cheat, known for inciting violent mobs. Listen, y'all, he's only looked out for one person, himself. She's lived the American dream while he's been America's nightmare. America, looking at the 2 choices before you, who would you hire? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris has a resume. Donald Trump has a rap sheet. She presides over the Senate while he keeps our national secrets next to his thinking chair. Y'all know what I said that other time. In Mar-a-Lago, the question before us is, will a vindictive, vile villain violate voters' vision for a better America or not? I hear alliterations are back in style. We deserve better. We deserve a president who can be a bright light in a sea of darkness.
Which brings me to you know who. Donald Trump is like an old boyfriend who you broke up with, but he just won't go away. He has spent the last 4 years spinning the block, trying to get back into a relationship with the American people. Bro, we broke up with you for a reason. Trump was the mastermind of the GOP tax scam, where 83% of the benefits went to the wealthiest 1% in America. Trump failed our country during the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump is a chaos agent who is focused on himself, not the American people. Trump tried to destroy our democracy by lying about the election and inciting a violent mob to attack the Capitol. Trump put 3 extreme justices on the Supreme Court who destroyed Roe v. Wade. We broke up with you for a reason. Donald Trump can spin the block all he wants, but there's no reason for us to ever get back together. Been there, done that. We're not going back. The scripture tells us that weeping may endure during the long night, but joy will come in the morning. Here's how we do it. Strategize on Sunday. Meet the moment on Monday. Take it to him on Tuesday. Work it out on Wednesday. Thank the Lord on Thursday. Fight the power on Friday. Set it off on Saturday. Get a few hours of sleep, wake up the next day, and do it all over again until joy comes in the morning.
I see an America where we hold fast to the fearless belief that built our nation.
We are indeed a nation in decline.
It is now our turn to do what generations before us have done, guided by optimism.
It's a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery, crime, poverty, disease, and destruction.
I will be a president who unites us.
Crazy Nancy Pelosi.
Who is realistic.
The biggest rallies you've ever seen.
Practical.
Build an Iron Dome over our country.
And has common sense.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He'd love to have you for dinner.
And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families.
The head of the Taliban, you call me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls the other guy Your Excellency. I doubt it.
I will always honor and never disparage their service.
Our military is not woke. It's just some of the fools on top that are woke.
I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un.
North Korea, Kim Jong-un, I got along very well with him.
Donald Trump, he was found guilty of fraud by a jury of everyday Americans.
We will return law and order to our streets.
Separately found liable for committing sexual abuse.
We will launch a new era of safety.
You can always trust me to hold sacred America's fundamental principles, from the rule of law to free and fair elections, to the peaceful transfer of power.
We had that horrible, horrible result that we'll never let happen again. The election result, we're never going to let that happen again. They used COVID to cheat. We're never going to let it happen again.
In Chicago and Milwaukee, each party had the same goal: energize their voters.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
I will be a president who unites us around our highest aspirations.
But with those messages of healing and unity,
the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious.
Were also words of condemnation.
In less than 4 years, our opponents have turned incredible success into unparalleled tragedy and failure.
And on the convention floor,
I think we're at a crossroads.
A house divided cannot stand.
Those deep political divisions were about more than the candidates. Kamala Harris hadn't even become the Democratic nominee when Republicans met in Wisconsin. But they were about issues that define America.
All right. There we go. Once again for another TFP Tuesday.
It is August 27th, 2024. I'm Venkat, and I'm once again joined with the world's most dangerous political panel. And on the panel, we got MD20. What's going on, MD?
Peace, what's going on? What's happening?
All right, all right. Also, of course, we got Ricardo. What's going on, Ricardo?
I'm here, y'all. What do you do? Here for another exciting week of TFP. We got a lot to cover.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, the Democratic Convention, all 4 days were last week. We're going to look at some specific moments of the Democratic Convention, but we're going to start with Ricardo. What were your general opinions or thoughts of the convention overall?
In terms of what we saw in contrast of the Republican convention, I thought it was a little bit different in terms of how everything materialized. I thought Ms. Harris came across very presidential. I thought that her words were concise, very thorough. She laid out her framework or blueprint of what she wanted to accomplish coming in. Mind you, she's still in power technically, but with outgoing Biden. But it's just basically passing the baton to her. And with the American people giving the cosign go ahead for her doing so. In contrast to what we saw with what Trump said, I don't think that we saw Trump really stated anything that we didn't hear otherwise. And I think you could see based on the video contrast between the two, it was just him going on to babbling, if we could say his white babbling is if there's ever a word, because MD does
babble.
Right. But between her and him, I think she laid it out more. I think it's like the video stated with what's his name, the Democratic leader. It's like an old boyfriend that America broke up with, and he just keeps circling the block. Like, get with the program, man. Like, we don't want you. If we wanted you, we would have picked your delegates in the midterms, and we didn't do that. So it's more of the same nonsense that he's coming back with, and we don't want that. We don't want divisive crap. We want a country moving forward. We want our country getting issues solved, and we can't get them solved until we get rid of him altogether. Because of him, lest we forget, and I completely forgot about this, was that he stopped the immigration bill from going forward earlier this year, and it was baffling because he told his peoples not to sign it. Mind you, they're still the ones that are complaining about the border issues that are at hand, but that's a whole nother topic for later on in the show. But she did awesome. She did a great job laying out her blueprint and everything in contrast to what the Republicans did. And I look forward to the debates. I mean, the honeymoon period will officially end by the time we're heading into the debates, and let's see what happens from there.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. MD, what did you think of the DNC last week?
I think it was a great convention. I think it was a enthusiasm booster for sure. They didn't go into the convention I guess being true to form when it came to policy, and to me that's a good thing because I don't it'll be a time for that. Specifically, I believe it'll be this week. I don't think that was the goal of the DNC convention. The goal was to bolster the enthusiasm of the core demographic of the people that vote blue. And they did a hell of a job. The keynote speakers for each night, incredible. They stuck to the points in regards to what the theme was for each night. I mean, you had some twinks here and there, like taking shots, which to me is fair game because Trump do it all the time. So why shouldn't Democrats have the luxury of doing it as well? Between night 2 and night 4, it's kind of even with me to be in the best night. Overall, it was a great convention, and like I said, it showed the stark contrast between where Democrats were a month and a half ago versus where they at now. And to Ricardo's point, the honeymoon period is essentially over. It'll definitely be over tomorrow when Kamala and Tim Walz do that CNN interview. It'll definitely be over. So we'll see. They can either go up or go down from here from a general perspective. But as of right now, they're ticking up.
All right. Thank you, MD. Yeah, the DNC was a major success, especially when you take a look at just the tone of the RNC a month prior. Just with the roll call alone, you look at the DNC, there's live, vibrant, energetic music from actual artists. You look at the RNC, they're literally telling you, you got to be quiet and make sure that they say the names right. And it's a lot of older people directing the action. And it was comparing a funeral home to a strip club. It was it was a complete difference in energy and tone. It was a big difference. The two parties are definitely not the same.
Right. Leave it up to my state to be extra in the damn roll call.
Georgia was the best.
It was cool how they themed the music to the states and everything, but lo and behold, here comes Georgia. They got to be extra than anybody else, and they got to have Lil Jon live performing. Ain't nobody asked for that. Just play the song.
That was just, I didn't realize it was when the whole extraness turned up for what. But then again, and that's the thing about, sorry to interrupt, the thing that you could contrast between the two parties, between the Republican and the Democratic convention, is that it felt a little bit more younger-ish with the Democratic side, as opposed to the Republican side that felt very older, geriatrical kind of. It was kind of like woozy, sleepy, boring vibes from the Republican side compared to the energetic, woo, we're excited, something brand new, fresh on the table on on the Democratic side. So I don't know if they didn't plan that out well, the Republican side. I think they were going with the notion of, oh, it's Omen Joe coming back in, but they were in for a surprise, weren't they? Because when Joe dropped out and Kamala came in, it was like, oh crap, what do we do now? So always, again, folks out there, always plan for plan B.
Yeah, I just want to say peace to Eddie Israel out there in the chat. Of course, Jackie McCall. Tequila, as always, just amazing. We do appreciate the viewership and the support here. Thanks for tuning in. So let's get into the the DNC even more here. So I want to play a specific person right now because I thought what he had to say was interesting. I thought it was relevant. So this is D.L. Hughley. D.L. Hughley made an appearance at the DNC, and let's pay attention to what he's talking about, and we'll be back.
Actor and comedian D.L. Hughley.
Hey now, hey Chicago, how y'all doing? What's happening in California? Now, wait, where those AKAs at? Where they at? You know what? In 3 months, ain't gonna be no living with y'all. I can tell you this, I don't blame Donald Trump for not wanting to debate Kamala. I've been married to a black woman for 40 years and I ain't won one debate. I'm owing $93,000. Now, of course, Trump is saying that Kamala isn't black. I guarantee you this, Kamala's been black a lot longer than Trump's been a Republican. And if he keeps sliding in the polls the way he is, the only way he can keep Kamala out of the White House is if he buys it and refuses to rent it to her. Of course, Kamala's getting broad support. They got black men for Kamala, white men for Kamala, Latinos and Asians for Kamala. They even have Republicans for Kamala. Republicans for Kamala. I guess Donald Trump will finally know what it's like when you get left for a younger woman. But seriously, Kamala knows the truth about the American dream, that hard work is not enough. Hard work alone is not enough to succeed, that you need access and information and opportunity. And she knows that some folks are often denied those very things. As president, she will give each and every one of us a fair shot in life. But I have to admit, I didn't always believe that. I mean, if you told me the 15-year-old me would be on stage supporting a prosecutor and a teacher, there is no way that I would have believed you. But because of that, I made assumptions about Kamala's record. And I often repeated them to a lot of people. Then one day, Kamala invited me to her house. She put her hand on my shoulder and she asked me to do some research. Something I had never done. Something a lot of people I know had never done before. Imagine attacking someone's character without a single Google search. So I did what I should have done in the first place. I learned that she had done for us exactly what she promised to. I believe that your apology should be as loud as your accusation, and I'm here apologizing in front of the whole damn world. I was wrong, and I'm so very glad I was wrong because, Kamala, you give me hope for the future, a future where my grandchildren, Nola and Stevie, had the freedom to control their own bodies, where they have the opportunity to go as far as their wits and their talents would take them. That future, ladies and gentlemen, is possible, but only if we elect Kamala Harris as the 47th President of the United States of America. I will say this to you. The best piece of advice I've ever gotten in my entire life is you don't have to know what you will do, just know what you won't. And we won't go back.
Okay, there it is. DL Hughley from the DNC. This time we'll go to MD. MD, what were your thoughts here on what was said by DL?
I think he made some poignant points. Oftentimes I don't agree with a lot of stuff that DL Hughley would say. And some of his takes are extreme, even by my standards, when it comes to his defense of Democratic policies from time to time. And this was on a panel that I did months ago. One of the first people that I heard talk about some of the past legal injunctions that Kamala was involved in California was D.L. Hughley. He was one of the first people I heard criticize her prosecutor record in California.
Yep.
So that's commendable of him to apologize, because, like I said, we all at one point, me, several other people, we all were saying the same thing. That she locked up a whole bunch of black people, blah, blah, this and that, without knowing, and that's surprising for me, because that's all I do is research. So based on, and a lot of that is really confirmation bias from a group. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna turn it into Man Talk Monday for a second. a lot of that is confirmation bias when it comes to black men. That I'm gonna just keep it real. Even with me up until a point at that particular time, you know what I'm saying, in 2020, that, she locked up all these black men, blah, 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 this and that.
But was it entirely true, though, that she locked up a whole bunch of black men?
You do the time.
There you go. But the confirmation bias in a lot of black men shrouds that in a lot of lewd and lascivious thought. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest. So from that aspect, I commend D.L. Hughley for what he said in that regard. D.L. Hughley been shielding for the Democratic Party for a long time. And I did not like that. But in the context of how we view this particular election in 2024, I can't hate on it. Because like I said, this is a particular election. It's more the identity politics is not what the topic is. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. The whole line where he was talking about saying that she wasn't black and she been black longer than Trump been. That was funny. I like that. I would have liked him to like dig into it, but he played his role. He a comic, you know. So he played his role. I ain't gonna trip on him. Me personally, the only D.L. Hughley I know is from Comic View, BET. Other than that, I don't want to hear you. You know what I mean? But in that regard, you know, it was poignant, and I think he did a good representation of a democratic perspective coming from a black man.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff in the black community, specifically black men, very anti Kamala Harris, very negative. We hear Trevor talking about the people online that he's seeing, these black preachers.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, it's just really ridiculous. But then Trevor did say something that was very true. You know, he said, you know, she locked up people, black people, but more times than not, those people actually committed crimes that they needed to be locked up, and it was legitimate reasons and whatnot that they were locked up for. So,
right,
like, what are we talking
take
about?
Take into account it's California, Van Cat.
Yep.
Right. From a proportion standpoint, it's no different from the numbers from all these hundreds of thousands black men get locked up in California than it would be in Florida. Proportionally, it's the same thing. So what are we talking about?
Right.
You know what I mean? But again, like I said, confirmation bias is the name of the game when you're trying to cope with what your reality is as a black man, and that's what it is. A lot of black men just trying to cope, and they find solace in other black men. It's a form of a black pill effect. That's just a fact. I don't care who don't like it. You're mad at the position. Right, go ahead.
No, sun black.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. There you go. You're mad at what you think your societal position is right now, and you think the pinnacle of that social hierarchy is now being represented through Kamala Harris, and you mad about it. Individualists don't get mad about these things because we don't care, because we don't live in social norms. So, you know, maybe you ought to try it. Just give it a shot.
This ad has been sponsored by the MD20.
There you go.
I can't argue with that one, MD. All right, so Ricardo, what do you think about what D.L. Hughley said, and any other points on that?
You know, it's funny that D.L. Hughley has come a long way, like from the comedian that we saw in certain shows to now being like a political what's the word I'm looking for, like political adversary, I guess, to the Democratic Party. There's quite a number of people that has really shocked me throughout the years, like Plies, for one. Is like, I don't agree with everything that they do between D.L. Hughley and Plies, but my God, when I tell you they're so immersed and they go on their platforms and they're like, this is the reason why, and it's just amazing to see, like, you know, grown black men be able to like express their point of views, and no matter what, they stick to the convictions and they don't really care, and they go in. I mean, swearing and all. I'm like, it's profound. But Hughley, just like D.L. Hughley, I will say I, like MD, did a number of things, and it's not just, I think it's, you know what it is, I think it's a bias towards our own set of people, our own people in our community. It's very baffling. It's very shocking. And now that I look back, because I said the same thing. Remember, I keep saying this when President Obama came in, because I'm going to give him his dues. When President Obama was coming, I didn't like him. I didn't like him one bit. I just didn't care for the man. But I realized what it was, and Twin might be up onto a point here. It might be a little bit of it's a hard way to express this. It's a little bit of white supremacy mixed into being a little bit like how do I say this without it coming off bad? So, over the years, it's kind of like when you tell like your daughter, you put a doll in front of her and you're going to be like, okay, there's a white doll and a black doll. More likely you're going to go towards, for her, the white doll, because that's all she sees in the media. That's all she sees expressed. This is the thing that I think is a problem for the Black community. We don't have representation enough to go, okay, well, this is this and this is that. When it comes to it, there's also the gender aspect of it. And this is the problem that I see online mostly from the Black men. And I think they're going to fall in line when the Black women start voting, because Black women, if y'all don't believe us, are the single-handedly most powerful part of the Democratic Party. When they need to come out and vote, and there's like the outcry for them to come out and vote, they will vote. And that's what you saw in the midterm election. It was the Black women that saved the Democratic Party at the end of the day. They came out in droves and voted. It's just amazing that DL, said a whole bunch of stuff like, the whole locking up the Black men, the majority of them. But MD brought up a good point. In California, which is single-handedly one of the most, prolific states when it comes to crime, and having a majority of Black men that are well, I say Black men because we can't hide the fact, that commit, vigorous crimes at hand. She had no choice but to. So is it really, her locking up Black men, or is it just the media being biased towards the fact that it's a woman doing it? It's kind of like a catch-22. Would she, in either case, would she be able to get off not being blamed for that? If it was a man that was in her position as opposed to her being a female, do you think we'll be talking about it that much? I don't think so.
Not at all. Not at all.
I think it's just that biasness, and it's hard. It's I wish our community will get out of it, because Twin mentioned this a couple shows back, where I think our community have a problem where we have to tackle it on firsthand, because it's just like the case with the little girl that suffocated her cousin for the iPhone, and now the case in Georgia with the kid that drowned that boy in some kind of precipice. I guess not a lake, but it's a watery area. The bias is there because we're saying, well, let's lock up that little girl because she killed the other child, the other cousin of hers, and just throw away the key. Whereas what Mike was saying was, why would we commit that to a Black girl, to a criminal justice system that's always been against us, being oppressive and all of that. Whereas we're being so biased when it came to the kid that just confessed, hey, he held down that Black boy in the water, and he must have told his parents, and they kept it cover up. But no, the judge, lo and behold, was like, oh, I'm gonna slap him on the wrist, give him 2 years. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like when you drive past and you see a whole bunch of Black kids doing a whole bunch of things, and they're all lined up, by police on the roadside. Whereas if it was we've seen it. It's like a contrast between the two things, and it's a colorblind shade. I guess we put down the visors in front of us and we go, okay, well, this is fair and this isn't fair. We need to get out of that. It's kind of like identity politics in the sense too. It's like, where do we draw the line? At some point you have to be completely neutral. And that's what I've learned to become over the years, is be completely neutral. This is why you hear me say I'm now independent, because I was always so staunch in certain things, and then as I get older and start maturing and having a family, and I'm like, there's certain things that is like so BS. So you could see where DL is coming from, and I respect that, because you could then look back and say, hey, there's a bunch of stuff I've said about Kamala throughout the years, and it probably wasn't fair to her, it probably wasn't right, but you know what, as a grown-ass man, I could say, you know what, she's probably the best thing that could come about right about now when we need her, where we need to join forces. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy road for her to climb up to in terms of the, and I'm sure Venkat and I'm sure MD have seen it online and otherwise. There's a countless amount of Black people that are otherwise they're not going to be voting for her. Now, how does she get past that uphill battle? I don't know. This is where the Democratic Party is going to have to really try hard and go into these places, because they're listening to the talking points of Trump, which is very troubling to me, as well as the Democratic Party. Not the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. And this Project 2025 people and the MAGA crowd mixed into the whole circle of this. It's very troubling to hear certain things that are so inaccurate that I'm going, what are you guys talking about? Like, are we that fickle mind that we're forgetting things that happened like the past 2 to 4 years, and it's basically his fault? And now you guys are jumping on this bandwagon of, oh, well, she's been there. Mind you, yes, she's been in place with Biden, but she's been obstructed every single time because of who? The House and the Senate. The people that are in place, they basically the MAGA crew, who are like the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the rest of them. How do you then expect her to do anything? It's the same thing Obama went through when he was being blocked at every single point of view of him trying to bring in certain things that are really good ideas. But again, the Mitch McConnells and the rest of them that come about and do these things that they know, is going to be obstructive. How do you expect her to do or accomplish anything? It's tough. It's a uphill battle that I think she's going to face coming in. I don't mind her coming in. And see, this is the thing that people don't look at. Bring her in, sure, but then who makes the decisions at the end of the day? It's the Senate and the House. So how do you influence that? Just like how MD's been saying, you guys have to take interest in your local politics. That's where these people come into play. The people that you're going to send from your states and from your region, they come into hand here because they're the ones that are going to make the decisions to vote in bills and all of that. So I don't mind Kamala coming in, but if you guys have this problem where she's going to be making the decisions, the executive decisions, yes, she will. She's the president. But at the end of the day, it has to pass through the House and the Senate. That's where the checks and balances come in. And there's people that are going to block all of that. So when we tell you to vote, don't just vote for just the sense of the presidency. You're voting for your local interest, which is the people in your your region and your districts and your jurisdiction and all of that. But I wrap this up all in all because I'm doing my nigga Bible. To say Deal has a point. As adults, we're entitled to say things and then, recant them when we realize we're in the wrong. And he did just that. And I respect him for doing that. There's nothing wrong with you saying, hey, I might have said stuff, I might have done stuff. But at the end of the day, looking at the choices that we have, I'm okay with you coming in, especially as a woman. So I give him that.
All right. So let's go to the next speaker that we want to look at. Some of these speakers, they don't have long times, so they just got to get in and get out. And this is the case here with Stephanie Grisham. This is, I believe she was in the Trump administration, and she worked closely with Melania, but she was also with Trump. Let's take a look at Stephanie Grisham, see what she has to say here.
Please welcome Stephanie Grisham.
I wasn't just a Trump supporter. I was a true believer. I was one of his closest advisors. The Trump family became my family. I spent Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all at Mar-a-Lago. I saw him when the cameras were off. Behind closed doors, Trump mocks his supporters. He calls them basement dwellers. On a hospital visit one time when people were dying in the ICU, he was mad that the cameras were not watching him. He has no empathy, no morals, and no fidelity to the truth. He used to tell me, "It doesn't matter what you say, Stephanie. Say it enough and people will believe you." But it does matter. What you say matter, and what you don't say matters. On January 6th, I asked Melania if we could at least tweet that while peaceful protest is the right of every American, there's no place for lawlessness or violence. She replied with one word: no. I became the first senior staffer to resign that day. I couldn't be part of the insanity any longer. When I was press secretary, I got skewered for never holding a White House briefing. It's because, unlike my boss, I never wanted to stand at that podium and lie. Now here I am, behind a podium, advocating for a Democrat. And that's because I love my country more than my party. Kamala Harris tells the truth. She respects the American people, and she has my vote. Thank you.
Okay, so that was Stephanie Grisham from the DNC, and her conversation behind the mic there was very interesting. She removed the veil behind Trump, behind Melania Trump. A lot of people look at Melania Trump as like, well, she's just a little first lady that's in the background. The truth is, Melania Trump co-signs a lot of the heinous behaviors and tactics that Donald Trump implements. And in that text message there exchange, that's one example of how Melania Trump get down. So, you know, her testimony there was very interesting because it just certified a lot of things that you would think. Knowing by how he acts in public, she legitimized how he is in private. What do you think about Stephanie Grisham there, MD?
Yeah, I think it's deeper than that. I don't think Melania Trump co-signs anything that Trump does. I think Melania Trump don't want to be a part in a contrast or a cosign of anything that he did. That's why she said no. And shout out to the receipt that she brought on the big screen with the Apple messages in the back. That was fire. That's what you call a receipt. So I look at it in that context. I don't think Melania Trump does not give a damn about any of this. That's a whole fact. The reason that she said no to putting out a statement because Stephanie Grisham was Melania Trump's press secretary, meaning that anything that Stephanie Grisham would have put out would have been on behalf of Melania Trump. Melania Trump don't want a damn thing to be put out on her behalf. That's why she said no. And that's a fact.
But
go ahead.
Putting that message out would actually have been a good thing. It would have helped to bring the temperature down. But
Melania don't care nothing about it being good or bad. She don't care. That's what I'm telling you.
She even wore the damn.
She don't want to be a part of it. Stephanie Grisham just said that she didn't do not one press conference on behalf of Melania at any point in time in the White House. Why? Because Melania don't want her name involved on any type of policy, any type of initiative that she got. She don't care about none of that. Don't do nothing.
So MD, you did hear the audio tapes of Melania Trump that Stephanie Grisham recorded, right?
I did. Right. Go ahead.
You hear how she speaks when cameras are not around. It sounds like she's a person that is right in line. I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, but her words and her action, or sometimes lack of action, says otherwise.
There you go. See, there you go. You just said the key word or the key phrase, lack of action. The reason, even in the audio tapes, the reason why she comes off as being in line, because by proxy she's in line, because anything Trump does, she gonna rock with that, because she don't want to be involved in any of it. That's what I'm saying. Telling you, whatever he said is Melania's election phrase if she was running. Whatever the hell he said, I don't care. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you that's been her notion since the very beginning. Again, going back to what she said, what first ladies, what first lady have you ever seen not have some type of initiative on their behalf?
They all have something.
Yep.
What's Melania's initiative?
We don't know.
The bullying thing.
No.
She did. She did have that, but that was minuscule to say the least.
Yeah,
that wasn't there. That wasn't there, or that wasn't the school fitness program. All the big stuff that man, come on,
say
man.
no to drugs.
Yeah, all of that. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff was first lady initiative.
Right. That so, Melania was the weakest one of all.
It's because she don't give a damn. I'm telling you, Vacation. She does not care. She in Trump Tower. She chilling. She got the Secret Service man in the bed, and that's what it is. You know what I mean?
I mean, she ain't right. I don't think they're doing the dirty. So I mean, I don't know if y'all. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. She just doesn't give me that kind of vibe. It's more like, oh, you better pay me to shut up, or this is what's gonna happen. And he did. Remember, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he have to renegotiate something in some kind of clause? Or
yeah. They just did some type of negotiation and prenup. But check this out. Let's look at it in retrospect. At the height of the Monica Lewinsky thing with Clinton, who did the media put front and center in all of that? It was Hillary. Right. Hillary came out way stronger after the Monica, like I said, it was media perception, of course, but nonetheless, Hillary came out way stronger after the Monica Lewinsky situation than anything else. I would dare say that you could thank Hillary's whole political career off of that. I would just be honest. You know what I'm saying?
She took the brunt of that crap, and it was over a. I don't even think they had intercourse. They didn't. So I don't understand what was the big deal. But I digress.
So Bones is saying here, Melania Trump sounds like a good wife to me. Just follow your husband's lead regardless and submissive. I don't blame her. This is Bones.
I'll be damned. Well, I mean, hey, if that's what you feel, I guess that was her initiative. Shut the hell up and whatever he said, I'm gonna go with that. You know what I mean? I guess that was her initiative.
I've always believed that they have an agreement, Trump and Melania, that she can't leave or do any divorce or nothing until he's out of the public light with politics. I think as long as this, because she doesn't want this, she never wanted this. She cried when he won, and it wasn't tears of joy. Because the whole politics thing was supposed to plug some website or some crap he was trying to launch. He was using that for publicity, but he ended up winning, and that's what happened.
Yeah, Melania always been like Melania low key, like she always been like that. You know what I'm saying? She like, hey man, I'm just here to spend money and look good, I guess, in the eyes of the beholder. You know what I'm saying?
Look good.
But I mean, again, when it comes to impactful initiatives, Melania has had none, and that's just what it is. And she don't want none. That's just a fact.
But MD, you got to be best. Be best, MD.
Man. Yeah, and plagiarize other people's speeches and do that, and
Yeah, criticize them and take their stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. All right. So, Ricardo, anything else on that?
Well, I was just about to say, shout out to the step-forward wife, Melania Trump, from Playboy to the White House. I mean, you can't get any better than that, girl. So, from plagiarizing the other first lady's speech and doing the most, I mean, I can't knock her because she wore that green jacket that says, "I don't care, do you?" lest we forget, during that whole thing with the border and the kids being locked up in cages, she put that on her jacket. So don't think, MD, that she's not that smart. She's very equipped. She just chooses to be that type of person that would be like, and she does subtle shade and reads here and there where she's like going to post stuff on your jacket where it was very tone deaf, where I don't care, do you kind of instance where you write on your jacket. Come on, man. Like, yeah, but everybody, I keep hearing from these dudes, especially white men, oh, but she's so beautiful. But what does she do, really? I mean, other than just sitting there with a whole blotch of makeup on her face, doing this smirk, duck lips, face smooch thing, and
duck lip for days, man.
You don't bring
I don't think she can go high on that facelift. I think that's it. She done reached the limit.
So, I mean, she might have negotiated in the new prenup. You might never know. But
all she cares about is making sure Donald Trump transport her family from Transylvania, because she sounds like she's a Dracula wife or something. I mean, my God.
And the same thing that he was talking about in his talking points the last presidential election was the same thing he did for her family coming over here. So did I miss the point, MAGA crowd? Because the same crap that he's saying, oh, I'm going to stop these illegal people from coming in and blah, 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 blah. And then, mind you, she did the same thing coming into this country, and then so did her family. So who benefited the most? I mean, did I miss something? Because this is the same thing I'm talking about. It's the hypocrisy here. You can't be saying one thing, Donald, and then doing the exact opposite of what you said. Because the MAGA crowd think they know everything, and they are so fickle-minded, lest they forget the amount of things that he has done and said and didn't follow through, and it's just one snowball after the next. But I grabbed my popcorn because I'm ready to reiterate some points that we all forgot about when it comes to Trump. But that's for a whole, reiteration going into the show. But MAGA crew, please get y'all facts and stuff together, because it's amazing how much y'all forget in the past 8 years. It's almost going into 8 years now with him and the diatribe of lies that he's come about with. But Melania, shout out to you still, because you were the first woman president, not president, wife or first lady to ever pose naked and be in a White House. So shout out to you, my lady. But you're the real OG.
All right. So let's continue. So let's take a look at one of the heavy hitter speakers, and this is the soon-to-be Vice President Tim Walz. This speech will be connected to a controversy at the end of the video. Let's have a watch.
Please welcome the Democratic nominee for Vice President, Governor Tim Walz.
Thank you. It's the honor of my life to accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States. But it was those players and my students who inspired me to run for Congress. They saw in me what I had hoped to instill in them, a commitment to the common good, an understanding that we're all in this together, and the belief that a single person can make a real difference for their neighbors. So there I was, a 40-something high school teacher with little kids, zero political experience, and no money, running in a deep red district. But you know what? Never underestimate a public school teacher. Never. I represented my neighbors in Congress for 12 years, and I learned an awful lot. I learned how to work across the aisle on issues like growing the rural economies and taking care of veterans. And I learned how to compromise without compromising my values. Then I came back to serve as governor, and we got right to work making a difference in our neighbors' lives. We cut taxes for the middle class. We passed paid family and medical leave. We invested in fighting crime and affordable housing. We cut the cost of prescription drugs and helped people escape the kind of medical debt that nearly sank my family. And we made sure that every kid in our state gets breakfast and lunch every day. So while other states were banning books from their schools, we were banishing hunger from ours. We also protected reproductive freedom because in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. And even if we wouldn't make those same choices for ourselves, we've got a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. And that includes IVF and fertility treatments. And this is personal for Gwen and I. If you've never experienced the hell that is infertility, I guarantee you know somebody who has. And I can remember praying each night for a phone call. The pit in your stomach when the phone had rang, and the absolute agony when we heard the treatments hadn't worked. It took Gwen and I years, but we had access to fertility treatments. And when our daughter was born, we named her Hope. Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family.
Enter Ann Coulter, who after watching a touching moment between Coach Tim Walz and his son.
On Wednesday night, Tim Walz's 17-year-old son, Gus, went viral for his emotional reaction to his father's speech proclaiming, "That's my dad," while tears streamed down his face. It is very important to note that Gus has special needs and a learning disability. Quote, "When our youngest, Gus, was growing up, it became increasingly clear he was different from his classmates. Gus preferred video games and spending more time by himself. When he was becoming a teenager, we learned that Gus has a nonverbal learning disorder in addition to an anxiety disorder and ADHD, conditions that millions of Americans also have." Count me in that ADHD bucket, by the way. It's a real thing. The viral moment from the DNC brought more attention to the challenges of people with learning disabilities and was met with praise and admiration. Even Ben Shapiro thought it was sweet, posting on X, "This is really quite nice." And when you're on the more heartless side of an issue than Ben Shapiro, you really got to question what's going on in your life and in your heart.
I just had a son, and I'm thinking about the motivation that I feel wanting to support him and wanting to support my daughter, keeping my battery energized all throughout the week, even when I'm exhausted. And to think that one day he could be that proud of me is unbelievable. That was my reaction. But if you're Ann Coulter, you go with this.
Ann Coulter was trending earlier today. To talk about weird, Tim Walz is the guy that said Trump was weird.
And sad as it is for our humanity, she was far from alone.
Tim Walz's stupid crying son isn't the flex the left thinks it is. You raised your kid to be a puffy beta male. Congrats. Does Barron Trump cry? Nope. Does he love his father? Of course.
I saw it. I said, dang, his little sister down there being humble and showing fortitude, and he's up there looking like, you know, somebody done spanked him or something. Look at him. Look at him. I think that Democrats are emboldening and creating weak men.
MAGA supporters, right-wing extremists like Ann Coulter posting this now deleted post saying, "Talk about weird." Unreal. Mike Crispy, a Trump supporter and podcaster.
Mike Crispy, you probably don't know that name. He is the chairman of the America First Republicans of New Jersey. He is a delegate from New Jersey, a businessman, whatever. He posted,
"Tim Walz's stupid crying son isn't the flex the left thinks it is."
Tim Walz's stupid crying son isn't the flex the left thinks it is. Dinesh D'Souza, you recognize him from his now discredited film 2000 Mules. The kid might have mental problems, but he's acting just like Tim Walz, so what's Walz's excuse? I realize that the pit of doom that is social media erupted with hate after Tim Walz's neurodivergent son Gus was shown at the DNC crying. So it seems like people are going to the internet in order to spew their vile notions of the families and this sort of thing. And I was wondering why we feel the need to do that. Why do you have to be that person? How many times do you have to use the phrase, don't be that guy? But people just line up to say, I'm going to be that guy. And I realized it's because hating is easy. Hate is easy, and frankly, it's natural. And in some ways, it actually brings us a feeling of comfort and safety. I think it's a natural evolution from fear to hate.
And if you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. I said if you're going to come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. Because I am still reveling in this beautiful display of affection that a son has for his father, which suggests how much affection and pouring and love there is that the father has for the son. And in a time when the red pill community, me man, me right movement is so high, we will not allow you to come and tear down and denigrate what genuine love and affection looks like. You know, the actual emotions that men themselves carry as well. The emotions that we too can display as well. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. Because what I want to see is more of this. I want to see more affection between the father and his son, between the father and his daughter, between a man and his brother, between the daddy and the great-grandfather. I want to see more. I want to see more men standing in their power, doing the things they need to do, improving the community, going to work, providing for the family, being a safety and a sounding board for the family, while also being vulnerable enough to know that he can't do it alone and he needs the family to support him and help him and love him and cry on him and push him up and lean on him and push him to go forward and also tell him when to sit down. All of it! I want to see all of it. All of it. So let me say this before I skedaddle. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me.
I'm reporting on the very last day of the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago, Illinois, and I feel like the entire week I've been very demure, very mindful, very cutesy. But ever since I saw Ann Coulter say this about Tim Walz's son who is disabled, I'm going to say, fuck that shit. It's all out of the window. Man, fuck you, Ann. Don't nobody give a fuck about a woman who died 10 years ago and is decomposing and still dyes her hair with peroxide in the motherfucking sink. What the fuck do you know about raising children, okay? Childless monkey women for Trump. That's exactly what you are, because you look like the Wicked Witch of the motherfucking West. They need to throw water on your ass and make you melt. We are tired of this shit. And as Michelle Obama said earlier this week, we're no longer going high when y'all go low. We're going to drag your bitch ass to hell where your unseasoned succubus ass belongs. Fuck you.
Okay, there we go. So we're going to go to MD. MD, what were your thoughts on Tim Walz, his speech, and also the reaction from the right, MAGA right?
In an alternate reality, if I was a lefty loony, I would be so happy right now with the nomination of Tim Walz for vice. It's a great pick. I ain't saying the name, but I'm saying in an alternate reality, if I was a lefty loony, the level of optimism would be through the roof, because this is the type of person that progressives need in the White House. Point blank, period. You can't get no hell, for lack of a better term, normal than Tim Walz. You can't do it. I saw something the other day. They was talking about net worths of former presidents and Biden and Harris and some other people. All these people was in the million. Even Kamala. I think Kamala was like 5-6 million. Do you know what the net worth for Tim Walz was? Now, mind you, he was in Congress for 8 years, and now he's governor for a full term. His net worth was $300,000, and that's just probably his house that he lived in. That you can't get no more normal than that. This man is an average white person, and that's great to have in the Democratic Party right now, because you don't have them. You know, the Democrats tout all this stuff about workers' rights and equality, blah, blah, blah. These people ain't living like that. The majority of the Democrats are neoliberals. Let's just keep it real. They living off some type of safety net with whatever lobby group that they working with or special interest. That's just a fact. You know what I'm saying? So to have a person, like he ain't just come from out the blue. Well, to us he did because we didn't know who he was. But this man was a tenured representative in the House. Tenured. A governor with many progressive policy. So, you know, in my lefty loony world, the level of optimism would be sky high. Now, let's go back to his son, Gus. Obviously, when they kept showing him, and then especially when he came up on the stage, obviously you could like tell something was wrong with him. You know, at the very least, he on the spectrum some type of way. You know what I mean? I mean, that wasn't nothing to like, you know. Venkat, when are you gonna understand that this true? And we might just have to do a whole show, and we might have to do this whole gender war thing because this is what this is about. and Coulter just put a match on the flame. That's all. You know, it's already there. So what's the point of the match? That's all. And Coulter said, "Let me see if I can make the fire bigger with this match. It ain't gonna do nothing. It's just gonna burn up, but I'm gonna flick it anyway, just to start some ish." You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what she did. And Coulter's view didn't even have nothing to do with gender, but who made as soon as she initiated, all she had to do was sit back and watch.
All these idiots followed.
Exactly. I forget the name of that guy that you played that little clip just now. Oh man, he like a MAGA black dude.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Some of the stupidest takes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
I'm telling you, Venkat, this is the final battle. And I'm being honest about that. This is the final battle when it comes to this fringe group of red pill society, manospheric, social hierarchy dudes trying to be the last bastion of something that died a generation ago. That's just a fact. And they use all these talking points under the umbrella of this ideology. That's what they do. All the key words are there. Beta male. You know what I mean? All the key words are there. They telling you who they are. They're upset with the position that they feel, not of what society feels, what they feel their position is in society. That's just what it is. Wayne, I'm specifically talking to you. At this, I'm nipping at the heels so bad because, like I said, I got the round in the chamber when it comes to the presentation. Has been there for months. It's ready to go. Wayne, I need to debate. Just give me the okay to at least present my information. We can do it like that. It ain't got to be face to face. All I got to do is I can do it on Straight Talk. I can do it on however y'all want to do it. I just got to present my information, and then you can rebut it. Because this is what I'm so glad that Kamala came in, because now everything is all on the table now. As far as that ideology is concerned. That to a point where you would make fun of somebody who was clearly had some type of learning disability issue. Like I said, at the very least being on the spectrum. I don't know what he got. Well, I mean, they explained it. But how am I supposed to know that? At least I know that he on the spectrum some type of way. Why would you make fun of that? And then why would you try to contrast it to some type of manly figure? Like what is that about?
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous right there.
You talking about a person that was a school teacher, now is at the pinnacle of politics, and that's my dad. I'll be crying too. a position that nobody never thought that we would be in as a family, front and center at the DNC. Like what are we talking about? I don't know what to say, Van Cat. I don't know.
It's just really outrageous. And you could, if you don't have anything to say, just be quiet. I mean, you can't react to everything, but they're reacting to every little movement, and Donald Trump's doing it as well. He was hate watching the DNC. Speaking of hate watching the DNC, there's got one guy on TikTok who actually destroyed his TV while Kamala was speaking. I mean, I wish I had the video.
What he
I'm gonna have
thought
to
it
get
was,
that.
the Cowboys game or something?
Yeah.
Like what the hell he doing?
They hate watching hard, and like you're not gonna win everything, you know. So I mean, and everything the Democrats not gonna do wrong. You know, at that point, just let it be. But you look weak when you react to it. And Donald Trump sent out like damn near 50 tweets, 50, 60 tweets during the DNC, commenting on every little thing. So you could tell the ones that are losing and the ones that are winning. So Ricardo, what were your thoughts here on Gus, on Tim Walz, and on MAGA maniacs hating on the family for no apparent reason, no justifiable reason?
So it's one of those things. I'm going to try to leave personal against what we see. So like MD mentioned, if you would have been a complete moron not to have known that, you know, there was some clear indication that there was something quite different about Walt's son. Whether or not you could tell by his facial reactions, his reactionary, you know, movements when his dad was up there, it's very evident. Now, you could speculate, you could do whatever. I mean, unless you've been on a rock, underneath a rock somewhere, and not know when you see a disability, it's baffling. One of the things that I find very troubling in terms of the clip and the right when it comes to this, how did y'all get into this position where you now say if the Democrats have a problem with this, it's embolden weak men, and stupid crying son isn't a flex? This is what we're doing now. This is, you see what I'm saying when you hear me say the more they do or the more they say things is the more they're going to push people towards Kamala. I don't even know where to begin. Let me just say this about Anne, because, you know, maybe it's just her being a troll, you know, being one of the most notorious trolls we've ever come across in terms of politics. I mean, if most of you don't know, she was screwing JJ from Good Times many eons ago. So that's probably the closest she's going to get to a BBC. So probably it's maybe I've messed up or warped her mind in terms of her not having a family. I don't know what it is, because for you to be speaking about somebody's child and you don't have kids, my dear, maybe there's something wrong with your undercrotch. So maybe you need to figure out in life what you need to be doing and how to figure out that issue. But how dare you speak of somebody else's child when you don't even have one? What's causing you to be barren, my dear? There's plenty of seeds out there that you could utilize, but I digress. How dare you even go to the limits of you then insulting a person with disability? I, for one, I'm a father of a child that has a disability. How dare you even go there? That's the lowest of lows that you could get to. But I digress. This is the kind of thing that the right is doing. And again, the more you guys do stupid crap, the more the guys say stupid things, is the more people are going to be voting for Kamala. Because you know what it is? Y'all are forcing people to then reevaluate and adjust to the political climate. The more you criticize people on their race, the more you criticize people on their disability, the more you talk about things pertaining to women's rights and abortion and all of that, you're going to force people to then reevaluate their stance and then vote for who? Kamala. And that's what the main talking point I've been bringing up in the show for the past couple of weeks. It's not going to end. It's just one of those things that is so bizarre to me. The fact that he said that it's emboldening weak men. What does that have to do with you know, incredulously happy for his dad, you know, taking the position of vice president, almost to be probably president one day? This is what y'all are doing. This is And I hate to say it because Michelle Obama did say it one year. When they go low, we go high. Like the girl said in the video clip, F that. We're not doing that no more. When you go low, we're gonna go even lower with you, because that seems to be the only way we're gonna be able to get stuff, the mudslinging and the word slinging, dying down. Y'all are despicable at best. And if this is the best that y'all could come up with, there's many stuff that we could go toe and toe with. But I think intellectually, we're gonna have to go a little bit more abstract, because this is like school kids on overdrive. Like, adults need to be mature here. You can't, like, this is, you could have went for the juggler elsewhere, but you went for disability though, really? And you're saying that makes him weak? Like, what are we doing? This is what we're doing now? Come on, country, we could do better. And especially for a black man to say that at best with the MAGA crowd. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. Y'all could do better. I'd rather you say you're a conservative of some sort, but you have on the MAGA hat and you think you look good, and you think that makes a person weak because he has a disability is just baffling. Like, and MD, I don't know, because maybe I'm just trying to separate the two. I don't know if he's with the red pill and all that crew where what Wayne basically be talking about. That's for Wayne to come about and discuss that. But I just find it very contrived and asinine, and that's all I have for that portion of the segment, was just beyond asinine. And Coulter, do better. You really could do better with your barren, dried up cooch. Find something better to do and stop trolling, because it's annoying. Because you knew exactly what you were doing. This is just disgusting at best. But I digress. That's all I got to say.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. So I want to look at one thing here. This is a situation that happened on CNN about a week and a half ago. And it's this whole thing that Trump and other MAGA Republicans are doing. They're disrespecting Kamala Harris by mispronouncing intentionally, saying her name wrong, and trying to make a mockery out of her name. Let's take a look at this video real quick, and we'll be back.
Donald Trump is in a very vulnerable position.
Talk about rerun. Kamala's.
You had it right.
You almost got it. I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
No, but you mispronounced her and you also misjudged her.
I just did, and I'll do it again.
Mispronouncing her name. That's a refusal to acknowledge her humanity.
If I purposely mispronounced your name, that would not be appropriate. Policies are Joe Biden's policies. She owns it.
You're normalizing that kind of viciousness, man.
33 times.
She was the deciding
she was the vice president on Joe Biden's bills. She was 33 times the deciding vote on Joe Biden's bills in the Senate.
Let me just say this, because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being, but when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of black people.
So now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say. I just said you weren't a racist.
That is complete.
You don't have to intend racism to accomplish it.
You are intending that
your disrespect of Kamala Harris is part and parcel of a tradition of disrespect.
It's offensive,
Congresswoman. Why can't you just?
I'm not calling you a racist. I'm saying what the practice is racist.
You are. You absolutely are.
Let me
get. No, what's disgusting is your disrespect of her.
Professor,
this gentleman said, I didn't know her name. He's trying to do it.
Is her disrespect of women. She doesn't know what a woman is. And if 25 years ago,
white women don't have the ability to tell black women who paid the price of blood to make this country what it is, to tell them they're not real women.
25 years ago.
They care for your babies.
25 years ago, I became the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. I fought my way through it.
So pronounce her name right.
Let me actually
pronounce her name right.
Kamala Harris. If
Kamala.
I were a man,
you said
we don't call you Nancy.
It's Kamala. You're doing this on purpose, Congresswoman.
That's disrespectful.
You can't expect people to respect your service if you don't respect
her. Walked that stage 25 years ago.
You're a white woman disrespecting a black woman.
That is away from women.
That's let me get in here.
Later.
Okay, so listen. It's come to my attention that there are some folks who struggle or pretend to struggle with the proper pronunciation of our future president's name. So, hear me out. Confusion is understandable. Disrespect is not. So tonight, we are going to help everyone get it right. Here to help me are some very special guests. Thank you, ladies. Can you tell us your names?
Hello, everybody. My name's Amara. And my name is Leela, her little sister.
And what are you here to do?
To teach you how to say your auntie's name.
Okay. So how do you pronounce it?
First you say comma like a comma in a sentence. Then you say la like la 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 la.
Put it together and it's 1, 2, 3, Kamala. All right, so let's practice.
Everybody over here say comma. Everybody over here say la.
Together. For president!
Liberal Kamala Harris gets in, and by the way, there are numerous ways of saying her name. They were explaining to me, you can say Kamala, you can say Kamala. I said, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter what I say. I couldn't care less if I mispronounce it or not. I couldn't care less. Some people think I mispronounce it on purpose, but actually I've heard it said about 7 different ways. There are a lot of ways. There are a lot of
Nigga, when my name come up, respect it.
Let's go.
Stop playing with my fucking name. All 3 of y'all, stop playing with my name. I ain't gonna say it no more. Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
All right, there we go. So, MD, what do you think about Trump and the MAGA Republicans, I guess, tactic to try to, mess with Kamala's name? One of many name callings that Donald Trump likes to implement in politics.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it's on purpose. There's another montage I seen where when Trump does like rallies or any type of public speaking event, he pronounces it Kamala. But when he does like phone interviews or anything like that, he pronounces it correctly. Like last week on the Fox and Friends interview, he pronounced it right every time. So it's an obvious tactic. All the Republicans know it, and the South Carolina lady gave it away pretty much because she corrected herself on the mispronunciation. I never heard nobody correct themselves on a mispronunciation, or I meant to say it this way, because it's there to be a term as being disrespectful, and that's exactly what it is. And Michael Eric Dyson, let me say this: I ain't no Michael Eric Dyson fan by any stretch of the imagination. He should have called it what he was. He knew exactly what he wanted to say, but I guess for the sake of CNN and the rest of the panel, he didn't want to flat out call her racist. Stand on what you believe.
She's racist.
Michael Eric Dyson should have straight up called her racist. Don't try to insinuate it by articulating it in some type of fancy way, talking about, oh, I'm not calling you. Well, yeah, you did. Just call her racist and be done with it. Like, what are we doing? So, it's a tactic. That's all it is. It's just like Comrade Kamala or Crazy Nancy or whatever name, that's what the MAGAs do. It's funny to me. At least I say this. Tampon Tim, at least that's original. They came up with something new. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm tired of either crazy or something like that. Come up with something new. They came up with Tampon Tim, and they got Kamala. Obviously Kamala sounded more Africanized than Kamala. You know what I'm saying? So let's just keep it real.
And the Tampon Tim thing is because they're saying that Tim Walz in the state of Minnesota put tampons in the men's bathroom to accommodate transgenders or something.
But that's a lie.
Right. It has been debunked.
But
And the
Yeah,
Republicans have
that's all.
been leaning in on it.
That's what happens when you don't read legislation. All you gotta do is read.
All right. So, Ricardo, what do you think about the Kamala Harris name misrepresentation issue that Trump has here?
I mean, it doesn't surprise. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone because that side has always been doing some kind of tactic to try to lower the gauge or the popularity gauge that she's been riding on in terms of the honeymoon period. So it doesn't surprise me. Passive aggression is funny to watch when it's being corrected in real time and it's still not being corrected. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, when do you not fix the problem, and we're explaining to you what the problem is, and you're like, I'm just gonna go into it, and so you're doubling down on what people are trying to correct you on. It's crazy. But it doesn't surprise me. The more they do these kind of things, is the more people are gonna be tuned into certain things. So if this is the best they could come up with between now and November, again, I've grabbed my popcorn. It's gonna be fun to watch. But my words are gonna be coming true. I'm kind of like MD here. Prophetically, keep doing what y'all doing, because at the end of the day, we've seen this with Obama's presidential run, where you guys did the same thing. You try to denigrate the man's name, saying he was Muslim, he's all sort of things, and what did you end up doing? You still propel him to be in office. So continue doing it. You made us vote for the first black president, albeit he's half white, half black, but we gave you something. You're going to do the same exact thing where we're going to elect the first female president and her being black. So what are you going to do then when it comes into fruition? You guys going to throwing tantrums like a 3-year-old? Again, let me grab my popcorn. Let me butter up the popcorn because it's going to be fun to watch. That's all I got to say.
So I do have the video that I was talking about before. It's a short little few seconds. An irate Trump supporter, aka MAGA maniac, going crazy on his own TV. I'm gonna have to go to YouTube for this one to share the screen. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get it. Okay. So here it is.
Survivors of crime. No way. Them. No one. No way. To fight alone. Kamala Harris will never be my president. Whoa!
I had a show.
Oh boy. MAGA, 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 MAGA. All right. So now that we
That's crazy.
I know it actual TV, that's at least $1,000. At least. I'm
Listen,
like, my God.
rich people problems, okay? Let them yeah, buddy, we pay for the damn big old plastic screen TV they have. That's rich people problems. Regular everyday people like me and you, we know the value of our TV and not using a hammer to destroy it. So, more power to them. You could destroy your TVs. Damn it. Go ahead.
Maria G is saying that was staged, but that's what I'm saying, Maria G. It's still a real TV that they destroyed. Whether it's staged or not, money was spent. I just don't understand why we would do that. That's just weird to me. You're not making any points like, oh my God, this guy just destroyed a TV. I'm changing my vote immediately. Like, that doesn't happen. Nobody's saying that in the world. Nobody. So I just don't understand the point behind it. So let's get back into the DNC for a bit here. I've been trying to upload the whole show. I've been trying to upload my edited video of the Michelle Obama speech, but for whatever reason, StreamYard is not allowing me to put it in. It's giving me an error, so I can't get any videos in there that I recently edited. I was trying to do it the whole show. There's like 3 videos that I just can't get in there. So I have to go with what I already have set up. So we're going to go to Barack Obama's speech. It's unfortunate because Michelle did say some really good things in her speech. But let's go to Barack Obama, and we'll be back.
Thank you, thank you. It is good to be home, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling fired up. I am feeling ready to go, even if I am the only person stupid enough to speak after Michelle Obama. I am feeling hopeful because this convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where anything is possible. Because we have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. The next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. It's been 16 years since I had the honor of accepting this party's nomination for president. And I know that's hard to believe because I have not aged a bit. But it's true. And looking back, I can say without question that my first big decision as your nominee turned out to be one of my best. And that was asking Joe Biden to serve by my side as vice president. And over the last 4 years, at a time when millions of our fellow citizens were sick and dying, we needed a leader with the character to put politics aside and do what was right. At a time when our economy was reeling, we needed a leader with the determination to drive what would become the world's strongest recovery. 15 million jobs, higher wages, lower health care costs. At a time when the other party had turned into a cult of personality, we needed a leader who was steady and brought people together. History will remember Joe Biden as an outstanding president who defended democracy at a moment of great danger. And I am proud to call him my president, but I am even prouder to call him my friend. The torch has been passed. Now it is up to all of us to fight for the America we believe in. The people who will decide this election are asking a very simple question. Who will fight for me? Who's thinking about my future, about my children's future, about our future together? One thing is for certain, Donald Trump is not losing sleep over that question. Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala. There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on. The other day I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day. Now, from a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous. The truth is, Donald Trump sees power as nothing more than it means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut that would mostly help him and his rich friends. He killed a bipartisan immigration deal written in part by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress that would have helped secure our southern border, because he thought trying to actually solve the problem would hurt his campaign. He doesn't. Do not boo. Vote. And most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the real Americans, who of course support him, and the outsiders who don't. And he wants you to think that you'll be richer and safer if you will just give him the power to put those other people back in their place. It is one of the oldest tricks in politics from a guy whose act has, let's face it, gotten pretty stale. We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse. America's ready for a new chapter. America's ready for a better story. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris. Kamala knows that if we want to help people get ahead, we need to put a college degree within reach of more Americans. But she also knows college shouldn't be the only ticket to the middle class. We need to follow the lead of governors like Tim Walz, who said, if you've got the skills and the drive, you shouldn't need a degree to work for state government. And in this new economy, we need a president who actually cares about the millions of people all across this country who wake up every single day to do the essential, often thankless work, to care for our sick, to clean our streets, to deliver our packages. We need a president who will stand up for their right to bargain for better wages and working conditions. And Kamala will be that president. Yes, she can. Yes, she can. Democracy isn't just a bunch of abstract principles and dusty laws in some book somewhere. It's the values we live by. It's the way we treat each other, including those who don't look like us, or pray like us, or see the world exactly like we do. I know these ideas can feel pretty naive right now. We live in a time of such confusion and rancor, with a culture that puts a premium on things that don't last. Money, fame, status, likes. We chase the approval of strangers on our phones. We build all manner of walls and fences around ourselves, and then we wonder why we feel so alone. We don't trust each other as much because we don't take the time to know each other. And in that space between us, politicians and algorithms teach us to caricature each other and troll each other and fear each other. Because the vast majority of us do not want to live in a country that's bitter and divided. We want something better. We want to be better. And the joy and the excitement that we're seeing around this campaign tells us we're not alone.
All right. All right. So there we go. So MD, what did you think of Barack Obama's speech at the DNC? MD? Guess MD's not there. Ricardo, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think he might have muted himself or went out of range for a bit.
Okay. All right, then we'll pick up with you. What did you think of the speech there from Barack Obama?
The speech was very well done, eloquently spoken, as per usual with Obama. Is President Obama, former President Obama was, has and always have been a great orator. So it didn't strike me much. Like he said, he's also a good comedic timing person as well. For him to realize the importance of his wife, to come right after her populist stance in terms of how popular she is compared to him. She's actually more popular than he is. That says a lot. But he brought up great points that I think a lot of people tend to forget. That comprehensive immigration bill that should have passed, that MD had brought up, in the show earlier this year, is a missed opportunity that I think might come back to bite, Trump in the butt. There's quite a few things that's gonna, bite him in the butt, and I think Obama reiterated them quite eloquently, and I couldn't agree more. The one thing about that bill that I think should strike a lot of people, strike a chord, is the fact that both sides had agreed to it. It was very, for the first time, staunch conservatives were, on board with signing and pushing the bill forward, the left and the right. And for some reason, if you forgot, if you might have not remembered, Venkat, that he called every single one of those people and said, "Do not pass that bill. It's going to hurt me. I don't want this bill to go through." And
He wanted something to run on, which is so pathetic.
And if that had went through, it would have killed his entire stance in terms of the run. So he called them, every single one of them, up, and in less than a span of like a couple of hours, they all decided they're not going to push the bill through and killed it on the spot. It was probably one of the worst things I think I've seen in real time in terms of politics, because it would have created wonders. We would have been able to secure the border. We would have been able to, expel people that shouldn't have been here. There was a whole bunch of stuff that would have been put in place. But again, this is the MAGA instinct of Trump, seeing and knowing better that if he had run and the bill had passed, it would have killed his entire stance in terms of the election. But I digress. I think Obama making his point be known that, hey, don't boo, vote, has always been incredulous. I think we need to remember that it's important that we vote. It's one thing to get upset about the immigration bill. It's one thing to get upset about Roe versus Wade. It's one thing to get upset about them getting rid of that school bill. I can't remember what it was called again. Affirmative action, I believe it was. We could vote. That's the power of the extent of what we have. Vote, because you could put your emotions and all of that into one push and cause, and that's the voting. And we've seen it in the midterms. We remember, we forget that they were all on this red wave train is coming and all of that. It didn't come to fruition because we all decided we didn't want that. We were sick and tired of the divisiveness, the anger, the rancor, all of that. We were sick and tired of it, so we voted, the other way. The same thing could apply here. So, I thought it was very well done in this part, very well spoken speech. Couldn't expect anything less from Obama, former President Obama, the scholar, the elitist that they called him, the one that wore that brown suit that they couldn't stand, all of
that brown suit was a huge controversy.
But how dare he wear this brown suit? No president have ever worn a brown suit.
Then they showed Bush and Reagan had it on.
It's a freaking suit, people. Get over yourselves. And it wasn't even that big of a deal. But again, they needed something to complain about, just like we're seeing now. There's nothing there. It's just fodder. So they have to complain about something in order to get their base going. And this is the same thing. So kudos to him. I wish he was still in power, but he wasn't able to do anything on account of Bitch McConnell and that crying moron that was the
John
Speaker of
Boehner.
the House, Boehner. I couldn't stand that man. You want to talk about that man that irritated me when he cries every goddamn freaking minute was Boehner. Couldn't stand him. But this is the politics that we're in, and kudos to him.
Well, they're making fun of Gus for crying, but they didn't make fun of Boehner. I
But they
mean,
forget about that.
go figure.
They forgot about crying every freaking minute. That you say the word "cry" and he starts crying. Like it was just overwhelmingly annoying. But kudos to you, Obama. Former President Obama. We miss you, and you could have done a lot more for Black people, but they still would have complained anyways. And it is what it is.
So we go from one controversy, which is Obama wearing a beige.
I'm back now, by the way.
brown suit.
My bad.
Oh, you're back. Okay, so well, your thoughts on I don't know if you've probably seen it before, but your thoughts on Obama's speech there.
It was a good speech for what it was. I don't know since you ain't got the video for the Michelle speech. I'll speak on both of them. Again, contrast wise, Michelle did a better job. Michelle had the dagger of the whole entire convention, in my opinion, when she said, I don't agree with it wholeheartedly because I don't.
MD, you're blacked out a little bit. Say that last part again.
Oh,
Michelle had the dagger.
Yeah, she had the dagger. She had the best speech of the entire convention, in my opinion. Her dagger when she said that Kamala came up through the middle class and that Trump basically, she said the affirmative action of generational wealth. That was a dagger. That was a dagger. Like I said, I don't agree with it 100% because I don't look at Kamala in terms of her upbringing. Yeah, it was middle class. I'm not saying it wasn't, but I don't want to get in. Let me just be quiet. In any event, that was the dagger of the whole entire convention to me because it showed the contrast between the intentions of both candidates, and Michelle Obama exemplified it tremendously. You know what I mean? Her speech was way better than Barack. I mean, hell, in kind of in a sort of way, Barack Obama's speech was good, but it was kind of cookie cutter, especially with the whole "yes, she can" and them, bringing that out. And I was like, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? But as far as Barack's speech, one of the key points was when he started talking about he implemented policy kind of sort of into the speech by saying how she was for the negotiation of wages and this, that, and the fourth. And I think that's going to play a big role into how Kamala brings out her policies. And again, tomorrow is going to be make or break. Like Ricardo keeps saying, a honeymoon phase. I think the honeymoon phase is officially overcome tomorrow. Once she get back on the campaign trail, I believe she's going to be in Savannah tomorrow. Once she get back on the campaign trail and she's do that sit down interview with her, I think Dana Bash going to be doing it. Once she do that interview, officially, the honeymoon phase is going to be over. And I think Barack exemplified that within his speech. So time will tell, like 24 hours from now. Time will tell where she goes from a policy standpoint. But I think Barack exemplified the policy aspect of what the intention of the Harris campaign is going to be from here on out. And I'll just leave it at that. I ain't going to say what I was going to say. Like I said, I don't even want to take it out.
The Republican force is in MD, and he just can't.
Yeah, it's still in me. It's still in me. I ain't gonna say it ain't.
All right. So, what we were saying, the controversy of Obama's brown suit just brought in so much rage from the right So we go from that controversy to this controversy with Donald Trump. Donald Trump and his comments about the military. Let's take a look here.
Mr. Trump is also trying to defend his comments last week where he said that the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which honors civilians, was, quote, much better, unquote, than the Medal of Honor given to service members. Listen to what Trump said last week about giving Republican donor Miriam Adelson the Medal of Freedom.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. It's right.
Actually gets worse every time you hear it.
So
General
bad.
Kelly tells CNN, quote, the Medal of Honor is earned, not won, by incredibly brave actions on the battlefield under fire, typically by very brave young men who joined when others did not to defend their country. He added, the two awards cannot be compared in any way, not even close, no equivalency of any kind. End quote. This is not the first time Kelly has clashed with Trump, of course, over the sacrifice of American service members. Last year, General Kelly confirmed reports, which originally appeared in The Atlantic back in 2020, that during his presidency, Trump did not want to visit a cemetery in France for Americans who fought and died in World War I because it was filled with, quote, suckers and losers.
Former Trump chief of staff and retired Marine General John Kelly is now reacting to Trump's comments. Kelly told me exclusively, quote, think of Normandy, Iwo Jima, Vietnam, or Fallujah. The Medal of Honor is earned, not won, by incredibly brave actions on the battlefield under fire, typically by very young men who joined when others did not to defend their country. The two awards cannot be compared in any way, not even close, unquote. This is not the first time Trump has made derogatory comments about military service. Last October, you might remember, former General Kelly confirmed a number of stories, exclusively to CNN, stories about Trump attacking U.S. service members and veterans, including one that specifically appeared in The Atlantic magazine where Trump referred to fallen service members as suckers and losers. Trump continues to dispute that he made those comments.
All right, there we go. Donald Trump. Ricardo, what do you think about Donald Trump's thinking that one medal is greater than another? And also, I want to also say this too. So he denied when Joe Biden called him out on calling the military suckers and losers, because when they die, they're suckers and they're losers for going in and getting killed. You know, you want to always fake a bone spur to get out of it. So obviously he's a coward in the upteenth degree. So he denied saying that. When you look at this comment that he made, it's pretty much on par with that message. So obviously he lied. What do you think about Donald Trump's cowardly talk here?
Oh, I was just going on. I color me surprised. I mean, this is Donald Trump, the guy that literally, dodged military service on account of growth. What did he say it was?
Bone spurs.
Bone spurs. It's like really, you can't get any worse than this man speaking. And remember, it wasn't only the bone spurs issue. He also mocked a Purple Star designated person as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff that he's done. So this doesn't surprise me, really and truly, on his end. It's very disgusting, to say the least. I know quite a few people who are veterans, quite a few family members who've actually served as well. I wanted to serve at one point. I wanted to be a part of the Air Force, but I aged out, so I could. So, for him to say certain things, really and truly, I can't take him seriously. And it's kind of sad, though, because it's the fact that he denigrates, like he knows nothing about any military stats. It's just baffling. The fact that he denigrates the medal and then goes on to double down on it, it's even more sad. I will say one thing though, because I've been hearing quite a few people in terms of MAGA crowd, just to veer off a little bit, see a bunch of stuff that I'm very baffled about. Lest we forget, it was Donald Trump was the one that actually signed that bill to actually have us leave Afghanistan. Lest we forget, MD could back me up on this, and it was because of him that we had to do a swift leave out of Afghanistan. So that created the effect of what you saw when we had to evacuate and leave Afghanistan behind, leaving all these stuff that we spent so much millions of dollars about there. And lest we forget, he was also the one that wanted to bring the Taliban to Camp David when he was president, and he was talked out of it. So I don't want to hear this talking point about, it's Biden's fault. It's not Biden's fault. It's actually your man, Donald Trump, that signed that bill to have us leave Afghanistan swiftly. So I just wanted to bring that point about, because I keep hearing people saying a whole bunch of stuff about this whole Afghanistan thing. It was Donald Trump that caused that issue. So I think MD can back me up on that, but I could definitely vouch it was him.
No, you're right. You're right. And General Kelly said that was a horrible. He said that Trump misled him because they were supposed to do a soft transition out and it didn't go that way. That's the reason why the infestation General Kelly basically said that's the reason why ICE exists today, because of how they exited.
Yep. And it's because of him. And I remember that because I kept saying, why is he doing all of this thing where he's signing into thing and doing all of this? It was all him. And for him to sit there and then, relish in the fact that, oh my God, Biden did the worst. It was you, sir. It was your administration that caused all of that caused an effect of us having to leave Afghanistan, people jumping up on plane wheels and falling out of the sky, dying on the tarmac. It was you. So I don't want to hear any MAGA people talk about, it's Biden's fault. No. It's your president, that moron that told us to drink bleach, that circled the Sharpie of the hurricane, that did a whole bunch of stuff, that golfed during the time when we had the pandemic. All of that was him. So I want to hear
the Sharpie.
But I rest. So, to bring back the point in a whole circle, Donald Trump knows nothing about military. I was glad when he had people like Kelly on his side, but even then he still didn't listen. So it was kind of like a trigger for people of my stature that knows well about the military. For when we keep hearing about the stance of, please Lord, please don't let him press that button of that nuclear arms somewhere, pressing that red buzzer. If you remember, that was a joke. Please don't let him do it, because he knows nothing. So it's like, why do I take his word seriously? No one will know, because he's the same one that tried to escape to get out of doing military duty by saying he has bone spurs, which was never validated. But I digress. Donald Trump can never speak about military to me. The man is a despicable. Let me not go there, because I could go there too. But no, doesn't surprise me at all, Venkat. This is just him. It's nothing new under the sun. So, the Sharpie dude wins again when it comes to nonsense.
All right, Ricardo. MD, what are your thoughts here on Trump's cowardly military comment?
So I 100% agree with Ricardo. The fact that you downplay one award over another when it comes to the Congressional Medal of Honor versus the Presidential Medal of Freedom is baffling. Mind you, we still don't know the reason behind why she got the Presidential Medal. Well, we do know, because they were super donors in the 2016 campaign.
Yep.
So you basically gave them a trinket of loyalty, basically, is what you did. And sure enough, Donald Trump holds that more dear than he holds military service. That's a fact. So, in essence, he didn't say nothing like that was not true. In from his perspective, then he give Rush Limbaugh the Presidential Medal of Freedom too.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are we talking about? You know what I mean? So it's obvious where his priorities lie from that aspect. So yeah, if you're loyal to the point where you exude an exemplary amount of loyalty toward him, you can expect something like that, and he hold that more dear than what he calls. So I mean, he pretty much gave it away. You getting the Congressional Medal of Honor by being either a wounded soldier or being dead, basically confirms the suckers and loser comment. It confirms it. So it shouldn't be wound up in no type of conspiracy or hearsay anymore, because he gave you circumstantial evidence based off of it. So that lets you know. And my own story, after 9/11, I was gonna go to the Army. The only reason I didn't go because my mama didn't want me to go.
Oh,
Like everybody had that sense of patriotism at that particular time.
he sure did.
My mama didn't want me to go because she didn't want me to die. You know what I mean? I should have, in retrospect, and I tell my mom this all the time. I should have went to the Army. I should have went. And she said, "Yeah, you're probably right."
Did you think it would have changed you though, MD, if you had went? How different would you have been today if you had went into the Army during 9/11?
Well, even back then, see, you got to understand, Ricardo. I was divinely sent here on this earth, right? Even back then, I had an individualistic viewpoint. So from a sense of like, and I got a lot of friends that I talk to today that show signs of PTSD. You know what I'm saying? From that aspect, I ain't gonna sit here and say, "Oh, I would have been more strong-willed," and I ain't gonna say that. But at the very least, I knew what was what in terms of what I was getting myself into. I think a lot of people at that time wasn't looking at it that way per se. They was either looking at it as a career opportunity or from a patriotic standpoint. And I was looking at it from a patriotic standpoint. So I can't necessarily say that it wouldn't have affected me negatively or positively. I really can't say that because I don't know. But I did know that I was expected to, for lack of a better term, be in the shits. You know what I'm saying? I knew that. I wanted to go straight infantry. I didn't want to do no special nothing. Just put a gun in my hand and put me out in the sand. You know what I'm saying? So from that aspect, I don't know. But in any event, we know that it did change a lot of people. It did. I know one person that didn't change. It was Trump. Now, from the stories that I've heard in terms of how the story went, initially, he was in school, so he was getting exempt papers based on him being in school at the particular time. His exempt papers ran out, so his draft letter came, and from the story that I read in a book, that it wasn't actually him, it was his dad. It was Fred Trump. It was Fred Trump that I guess paid off a doctor to get him a note saying that he had bone spurs. So, but because you got to remember at that time, Fred the Third was going through a lot of problems. He was a drunk. So Fred Trump looked toward Donald to be basically the heir apparent of the business. So from what I read, it was actually Fred that did it. Nonetheless, it's a bad situation, and I can assume from that point on, truly Trump looked at anybody that went to the military as a sucker. And there's a sense of what's the word, Van Cat, when you remember the term that they used when the guy killed them people in the car accident. And they said he had what now? I forget what they call it when you're rich.
Influenza.
Yeah, affluenza. Yeah, affluenza.
Yeah.
I guess it could be a sense of that, which is not real, by the way. But even a sense of that, like looking at only the poor go to war. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bad situation. I think he's held that sentiment ever since the Vietnam situation.
Surprise, surprise.
Exactly. And that's all I got.
All right. Thanks, MD. All right. So I want to go into as a MAGA turns. Before we go into the final speech we're going to look at, which is obviously Kamala Harris. But I want to just go take a stop to Magaland, and then I'm going to have to go into a screen share to show this particular one because that's one of the videos I wasn't able to upload. But let's go to MAGA Turns, and we'll be back.
I know this is awkward for you, Allie, but it doesn't change the way I feel. Please come back to the yacht with me.
As the turn.
Turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
So I finally stepped outside the MAGA echo chamber. I stopped listening to what Trump said and looked around with my own eyes. And I realized he had been lying about pretty much everything. So this is my message to all the Republicans and independents who are watching. People like me who voted for and believed in Trump. I made a grave mistake, but it's never too late to change your mind.
I took two things that I love, dancing and dogs, and I made them into a successful business.
And joining us right now is Rich Logis. He's now the co-chair of Republicans for Harris in Florida. Thanks for coming in, Rich. Seeing your message, your face there in that video, the same night on the same convention stage as President Joe Biden, who took the stage later, as Hillary Clinton, who was a 2016 Democratic nominee against Donald Trump, taking the stage the same night. What was it like for you?
Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It was, my life has come a bit full circle that video aired on the evening in which Secretary Clinton and President Biden both spoke, when I was a MAGA activist and pundit from 2015 to 22. I made some abhorrent privately about Ms. Clinton and President Biden. And I even went on my Twitter account last night and wrote them personal apologies that I hope will get to them. And when I was in the MAGA community, I was not just simply a partisan Trump voter. I was a volunteer. I did phone banking. I wrote and contributed some of the call script to the Trump campaign. So I was very much into that world. And after the victory in 2016, I got even deeper into it, having spoken at Trump groups, sponsored Trump groups, writing for a number of, as a freelancer, a number of right-wing news sites and opinion sites. I had a professionally produced podcast. So I was someone who gravitated to the Trump campaign at the time in 2015.
And Rich, you were deep in it as you're describing. And one of the things I've been wondering is how do you sum up what attracted you so much to Donald Trump then? And also, when was the moment that he lost you?
So I consider myself at the time a very disillusioned American politically. And I saw Trump as an outsider looking to change the ways of Washington. And right now, as I am working on behalf of the Harris-Walz campaign for Republicans for Harris down here as a co-chair in Florida, I understand why there are Americans right now who have these feelings of disillusionment and disenchantment. And I was asked to come on the campaign. I didn't hesitate when I was asked, because I think that there's a message that perhaps I hope I'm uniquely able to deliver, because there were a number of factors that led to my questioning my beliefs. They all happened in the summer of 2021. There was mismanagement of COVID by both Trump and my governor, Ron DeSantis. There was a better understanding of January 6th. I started to diversify my news and information sources. started to get out of that MAGA and right-wing echo chamber, started to realize that there were some beliefs I held that turned out to be wrong. There were other moments, such as when the Republican Party deemed the insurrection legitimate political discourse. And then there was the final straw for me, really, which was the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. So I went through an entire year of personal tumult, having to come to this conclusion that I was mistaken about pretty much everything that I believed. And I think it's important that I let viewers know that I take responsibility for everything that I said, all my rhetoric, all of my decisions. And it was on August 30th, 2022, when I published a mea culpa, in which I stated my remorse for supporting Trump and DeSantis and MAGA. And I wanted to acknowledge that mistake publicly because I was always very public in my support for Trump.
So I also wanted to ask you, now you're working on behalf of the Harris campaign, trying to win over more Republicans to support Kamala Harris in Florida. And my colleague, John King, he spoke with some Republicans in Iowa who have wavered on Trump. One really stuck with me, saying that she did not want to vote for Trump this time, but then inflation started hurting just too bad. Let me play what she said.
I would describe myself as being resigned, I suppose, to voting for Donald Trump. Again, I can't vote for the status quo. And I was absolutely better off during Donald Trump's presidency than I am today.
I'm wondering, in the conversations that you're having or you're trying to have with Republicans in Florida, is the economy, is inflation, is it your biggest struggle?
There's no question that that is an everyday concern for most Americans and will be throughout the duration of their lives. But in this particular election, I helped Donald Trump divide the country for many, many years. He is someone who has torn asunder families and communities and households all across the country, pitted complete strangers, amplified and elevated conspiracies that he almost certainly knows cause avoidable deaths and trauma. And so with those concerns, I've been saying to those who are feeling disenchanted with our political system, Republicans right now who maybe are not enamored for whatever reason with the Harris-Walz ticket but don't want to vote for Donald Trump, I think that this is an election that is a referendum on character and trust. And we have, with the Harris-Walz ticket, very clearly a campaign who is inclusive. I am unaware of any major presidential candidate who has actually invited into the campaign to directly participate those whom they know are probably going to disagree with some of the policy style and substance. That is an inclusive campaign. The Harris campaign is one that is looking to unite left, center, and right. And very clearly, that is not what the Trump campaign is trying to do. In fact, when I was in MAGA, we did not talk about the benefits of democracy. We talked about crushing and conquering our opponents and our enemies because we believe anyone not with us was an enemy. So when we think about these issues of trust, we have to ask ourselves, and my message to undecided voters is, if we're going to talk about character and we're going to talk about trust, do we think that Trump or Harris is better equipped and better fit to try to provide actual solutions to these concerns that all of us have every day?
It's bad.
Okay, so there we go. A rehabilitated MAGA maniac, as MD would say. MD, what are your thoughts here on this gentleman's testimony here?
Yeah, he made some great points, and I can identify with a lot of stuff he said, especially when he started talking about, the unity amongst, well, across the aisle, and this being more or less an election of character, because everybody knows at one point in time, even when I was bashing a lot of the MAGA maniac ideology, I was still saying that I was going to vote for Trump based on particular issues. I had to train myself to get out of that in order to see the bigger picture of what was going on. Again, it's no secret. I voted for Trump twice. I voted for him in 16 and 20. Not even the stuff that I knew that was egregious. I was still saying after all of that, after J6, after the indictments, after all of that, at that particular time, I was still saying I was voting for Trump based on two particular things: the economy and immigration. I look at immigration from a certain light, not dealing with it as protectionism or closing the border, but I'm looking at it from an overall standpoint of us as a demographic being leapfrog. I can't blame that on legislation. I had to learn that. You know what I mean? I can only blame that on us as a people not being politically astute enough to know what we need to do with our voting power. It's a topic for another time. In any event, I had to train myself to understand that the character issue and what was fundamentally right and wrong, not only from a legislative standpoint, but just from a standpoint of rights as an American citizen, that I got to let him go. So I can identify with him wholeheartedly. Here's another thing that he pointed out. He talked about how he was doing groundwork in 16. One of the reasons why a lot of Republicans are falling off, there is no groundwork in 2024 at all. Notice, even when Biden was in, he got all these satellite offices around the country, people doing groundwork. When Kamala entered into the fray, all these calls just weren't for people just going there and talking. They was mobilizing voters in order to do the work. Where's the work being done at from a constituent standpoint in the Republican Party? There is none. I can tell you right now. Who's doing calls on behalf of Trump? Who's knocking on doors on behalf of Trump? It's not happening. Part of the reason why it ain't happening because I don't think that he thinks it needs to happen. You know, that's a fatal flaw in and of itself. The fact of the matter is the constituent engagement amongst the Republicans right now is non-existent. So he was absolutely spot on when it comes to that. And the reason why it's not there is because of the difference of opinion based on the constituency. If you talk to any true red-blooded form factor Republican on let's pick an issue. Let's just say abortion. That's the hot topic. More than not, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say that they believe in a national abortion ban. MAGA is not antiquating that. In fact, I just heard a story. I believe it was today, saying that Trump would veto any national abortion ban that the Congress puts up on the table if they pass it. Huh? That's not a Republican talking point at all. So I think one of the reasons that you're not seeing the groundwork for the Republicans is because they so all over the place with their policy, they don't want to trip over themselves. So he made an excellent point by saying that in the aspect of the groundwork, 2016 versus now is non-existent. And that's the reason why, because they're not rooted in policy anymore. The Republican Party is not like that. Why? Because conservatism is dead. And I think the average Republican know that. They just playing into the whim of this cult of personality. That's what it is. And kudos to him for not playing into it no more.
All right, thank you, MD. Ricardo, what are your thoughts here on this reformed MAGA Republican?
Quite a contrast, just to say the least. But I just want to add to MD's point before I even get into my thought process about the reformed MAGA maniac here. MD, the abortion portion of it, I think is what is gonna come back and bite him in the butt, because he put Amy on the Supreme Court, if you remember, as well as Brett, I think that in itself speaks volumes. I think it's going to come back and bite him very horribly because of the fact that a lot of people are still, well, not a lot of people, but a lot of women are still upset about the whole Roe versus Wade thing. I mean, yes, in contrast, Americans typically, it depends on who you speak to on the spectrum of the politics, was kind of going for the state rights of it. But the overall justification of it being eliminated was the issue. And I think for him to have put the two on there, which was Amy, and they're staunch, very, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're very conservative in terms of how they voted or how they think. It's kind of like how it's going to be a catch-22. I really think it's going to come back and bite him. I don't know how, but it's going to bite him in the butt come election time, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, most of the swing states have that on their ballots. The abortion question is going to be on every ballot going forward. So when people think about that, I think that's where it's going to really hit him the hardest, is the abortion question. But we'll wait and see how that pans out during the pandemic. But I think it's going to come back and bite him because of that. I'm just a little bit surprised at the whole there's quite a few talking points that was brought up in regards to his piece being a reformed MAGA maniac. I think it's very surprising, and MD did touch on that too. We're not seeing a lot of satellite push from, like, say, conservative people that would be like, okay, I'm gonna call around and see what issues are you mainly affected by, and other than the woman saying, hey, I think I'm still going to lean towards voting for Trump on account of inflation is really high, and I think I was much better off when he was president. I beg to differ. I think, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here in front. In some ways, it's actually a little bit worse off now because on account of inflation, but the inflation came about because of what? What really caused the inflation, if you remember?
Trump.
Right. So
Trump and his mishandling of COVID and the tax cuts. Those things is what messed up the inflation for us today.
And it pushed Biden to do certain things to try to curtail it, which is what we're going through now. So again, the short-mindedness of a lot of MAGA maniacs really bothers me, because they all think, oh, we're going to find some, and MD did touch on this as well, the identity politics. We always want to find somebody, a scapegoat to blame, but really and truly, a lot of the things that we have to blame on account of is really by Trump and his administration. It's because of them. This whole thing where we want to find excuses to blame, Joe Biden and Kamala, is not really them. It's really Trump and his administration. I say this, and I say it often. When they passed that tax cut law, it really affected my bottom line. I used to be able to 99, if most of you know what 99 means. When you get, like, your company got some kind of bonus in itself, you could see 99 that and you get it back in your tax. You can't even do that anymore, because look at something like, before you even do anything, I'm gonna take my cut out of it. That really hurt my bottom line. So in some aspects, when he passed that tax cut law, it only benefited him and his cronies at the top. It didn't affect the people at the bottom of the pyramid. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Hand in hand, I think if they were on the ground, doing the groundwork of calling people and find out what issues affect them, I think they could really nip this in the bud, really and truly. But I don't think there's enough time, and I think they're not going to do it. I think Trump thinks that he has this in the bag on account of, hey, I have a lot of people in the palm of my hands, and they're going to vote for me. It doesn't work like that. We've seen that during the midterms where they said the same thing and they didn't do anything. And like MD said, conservatism is dead. It looks to me like we're doing the MAGA maniac politics here, and it's almost reminiscent of the Tea Party when they came about, and that slowly died out to become MAGA maniacs in politics. So it's like a catch-22, really. So I'm happy that he's a reformed MAGA knight, or whatever word you want to come up with for him. But what happens to the rest of the people that know better, that have seen things that have happened during the administration of Trump, and still don't want to vote on account of its politics? And like I always say, and I'm going to say this again on this show, Trump has no conservative bottom line. He is not a conservative person. He never has, never will be. He's even said that when he ran for the first time. does not have a conservative bone in his body. So I don't know how I will be inclined to vote for somebody who was not conservative, supposed to be conservative. That makes no sense. But I digress. This is where we're at. This is where it's going to be at. It's baffling, but it's true. I think we need to get down to the nitty gritty here. And like I said, the honeymoon period ends, like MD mentioned, for tomorrow for Kamala. What I need to hear now is how we're going to fix the inflation issue, how we're going to fix the immigration issue, how we're going to fix when we're entering that phase of winter where maybe the cost of gas is going to go up depending on how the weather flows. These are things I need to find out, like the child tax credit, how we're going to fix the issue of, student loans, which still should be on the table. All of this comes into play here with the healthcare and all of that into play. These are things that American people are most worried about, and like getting money back into their pockets. How would that influence their votes going forward is what we should be talking about. So that's where the debate's coming from me, and I'm interested to hear both points from both parties and both candidates at the polls. Other than that, everything else is fodder, and we all know it is. So let's focus on the issues at hand. And let's get down to the nitty gritty for November the 14th.
All right, so let's go ahead and finally look at Kamala Harris's speech from the DNC. We'll be back up with our thoughts.
And so, on behalf of the people, on behalf of every American, regardless of party, race, gender, or the language your grandmother speaks, on behalf of my mother and everyone who has ever set out on their own unlikely journey, on behalf of Americans like the people I grew up with, people who work hard, chase their dreams, and look out for one another, on behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America. And with this election, our nation with this election has a precious, fleeting opportunity to move past the bitterness, cynicism, and divisive battles of the past, a chance to chart a new way forward. Fellow Americans, this election is not only the most important of our lives, it is one of the most important in the life of our nation. In many ways, Donald Trump is an unserious man. But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious. Consider not only the chaos and calamity when he was in office, but also the gravity of what has happened since he lost the last election. Donald Trump tried to throw away your votes. When he failed, he sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol where they assaulted law enforcement officers. When politicians in his own party begged him to call off the mob and send help, he did the opposite. He fanned the flames. And now, for an entirely different set of crimes, he was found guilty of fraud by a jury of everyday Americans. And separately, and separately found liable for committing sexual abuse. And consider what he intends to do if we give him power again. Consider his explicit intent to set free violent extremists who assaulted those law enforcement officers at the Capitol. His explicit intent to jail journalists, political opponents, and anyone he sees as the enemy. His explicit intent to deploy our active duty military against our own citizens. Consider the power he will have, especially after the United States Supreme Court just ruled that he would be immune from criminal prosecution. Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails, and how he would use the immense powers of the presidency of the United States, not to improve your life, not to strengthen our national security, but to serve the only client he has ever had, himself. And we know what a second Trump term would look like. It's all laid out in Project 2025, written by his closest advisors, and its sum total is to pull our country back to the past. But America, we are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back to when Donald Trump tried to cut Social Security and Medicare. We are not going back to when he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions. We are not going to let him eliminate the Department of Education that funds our public schools. We are not going to let him end programs like Head Start that provide preschool and childcare for our children. America, we are not going back. And we are charting a new way forward. To a future with a strong and growing middle class, because we know a strong middle class has always been critical to America's success. And building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. And I'll tell you, this is personal for me. The middle class is where I come from. My mother kept a strict budget. We lived within our means, yet we wanted for little. And she expected us to make the most of the opportunities that were available to us and to be grateful for them. Because, as she taught us, opportunity is not available to everyone. That's why we will create what I call an opportunity economy where everyone has the chance to compete and a chance to succeed. Whether you live in a rural area, small town, or big city. And as president, I will bring together labor and workers and small business owners and entrepreneurs and American companies to create jobs, to grow our economy, and to lower the cost of everyday needs like health care and housing and groceries. We will provide access to capital for small business owners and entrepreneurs and founders. And we will end America's housing shortage. Social Security and Medicare. Now compare that to Donald Trump, because I think everyone here knows he doesn't actually fight for the middle class. He doesn't actually fight for the middle class. Instead, he fights for himself and his billionaire friends. And he will give them another round of tax breaks that will add up to $5 trillion to the national debt. And all the while, he intends to enact what in effect is a national sales tax, call it a Trump tax, that would raise prices on middle-class families by almost $4,000 a year. Well, instead of a Trump tax hike, we will pass a middle-class tax cut that will benefit more than 100 million Americans. Friends, I believe America cannot truly be prosperous unless Americans are fully able to make their own decisions about their own lives, especially on matters of heart and home.
Okay, that's Kamala Harris during her DNC exception speech for the nomination. In her speech, if you watch the whole speech, it was about 45 minutes long. We only saw about 10 minutes of it. But in her speech, she was able to define who she is and what she's about. Unlike hearing Republicans, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans telling us who she is and what she's about. The speech with D.L. Hughley we watched earlier, where he was spreading misinformation about her, but then apologized. You see a lot of that in the Black community. So it was nice to hear her tell her story and get her side of her life out there for a change. One of the big things that she talked about in the speech that we didn't see in the video was an event that helped motivate her become a prosecutor. And it was a friend of hers in school that were essayed by the stepfather. And she took that girl into the home, and she pretty much took a career to go after people that attacked innocent people in the society. So it's a great speech. A little bit of policy and what she has envisioned for her presidency in the future, the things she want to address, the things she want to tackle with her presidency. It was a speech where she laid down the case against Donald Trump, like as if she was in a courtroom. I think that those things were very good. I do know that on TYT, the Young Turks, I did hear them. I did hear them say things that were good about the speech, but the one part they did not like was the Palestinian-Israel part. They thought that
BS.
that's the part that they were. So
we ain't gonna stop watching TYT, man.
There's some good stuff on there. I mean, I don't have to agree with everything, but there's some good stuff on there. They do talk about stuff that you don't see in regular news. But so let's go to MD with this. What were your thoughts here on Kamala Harris's speech?
I think it was great. I think it was masterful. One of the things that people were saying before pre-speech rather was how she was going to be able to articulate the nomination. I guess they were trying to say that Kamala wasn't a good orator, I guess. For me, she did it pitch perfect in regards of how she delivered it. She delivered it just like you said, Venkat, as if she was a prosecutor in opening statement. and that was perfect in my opinion. She peppered in policy in there. A lot of people also were saying that she had no policy. What was her policy? They were saying that all, pre-nomination, like what's going on, like what her policy is going to be looking like. I think she didn't go in full detail, but she laid out an outline, and that's all I need because throughout the course of this campaign, we will get detail. Let me do a sidebar. Shout out to Maya. If it's any one of the sisters that got the black gene, it's Maya. Maya fine as hell. I think she like 53, 54 maybe, but Maya got it. I don't know how it passed by Kamala, huh?
Because of the dad. No, but Maya's the sister.
Yeah, she got that. Yeah, she got the Jamaican part. Because Maya fine as hell. But that's my sidebar. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the policy, again, she outlined it, and I think that's all she needed to do. I'm glad you brought up the Palestinian thing. You got the lefty loonies saying that there should have been a Palestinian speaker. Why didn't Rashida Tlaib speak? Blah blah blah. This and that. I guess as substance, she met with a delegation from the uncommitted movement when they were in Michigan, I believe, the week prior of the DNC. Am I correct, Van Cat?
Yes, she did.
And those uncommitted voters came out and was speaking in an optimistic manner. So why do we need a public why do we need public validation from Kamala if the footprint has been set in terms of what needs to be done on the Palestinian issue? Again, it's a terrible thing that's happening in Palestine. It's a pogrom. Like, you ain't gonna get no argument from me. What's the priority when it comes to this election? Should be your next question. That's not to downplay the Gaza situation at all. I'm saying is you have to learn how to play the politics to work that in your favor to be a part of that platform. Why are the uncommitted and all these lefty loonies not doing that? I look at it as a form of sabotage. I'm gonna just be honest. Especially when you know the threat that that's within the Republican Party. You know it. It ain't like you don't. I think what she said about Israel and Palestine was perfect because it's true to form of what the American situation as it pertains to Israel and Palestine. Israel is the bastion of special interests in the Middle East. Ain't nobody gonna deny that. I don't care if you like it or not. It's just a fact. But what's also a fact is we have to play a role in the humanitarian aid of Gaza and try to come to an agreement of a point where the Palestinians are able to govern themselves. Now, she ain't said verbatim like that, but that's pretty much what she said. What's wrong with that message? I don't see anything wrong with it.
Now, MD, do you think, because, in the DNC, there was a moment where they had some Israel parents that have their kids, their kids are hostages by Hamas. They were able to have a platform on the DNC and talk. So do you think that their gripe is that why couldn't they have a Palestinian voice be heard on that stage, considering how many days and how many people were able to get on the stage during the conference?
Well, I mean, that's a good point, but here's the thing. The Israeli hostage situation is a pivotal point within diplomacy of the United States. The humanitarian aid in Gaza, I don't consider that a diplomatic set point for the United States. I don't. That's a human issue that needs to be addressed. When we're looking at it as an outline, as it pertains of what and keep in mind what the theme of that particular night was also, Vancat. When we look at what the diplomatic efforts are as it pertains to I'm gonna just say Secretary of State Blinken, because that's what it is. It's a specific outline from a diplomatic perspective. The Gaza aid is something strictly humanitarian. Now, you could make an argument saying that they should have had a voice at the DNC convention. But what message would that have conveyed? What would be my next question? I mean, we got to keep it a buck. How would anybody that was speaking on the Palestinian agenda unify the nomination of Kamala Harris? How? I'm just keeping it a buck.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. Do you think that it looks bad that they didn't even allow a voice to be heard for 2 minutes? Just 2 minutes. MD, you there? Uh-oh. Can anybody hear me?
My bad. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Okay, my bad. I say no. And the reason why I say no is because there wasn't enough time, first of all, in order to vet a speaker, in order to articulate the message that needs to be conveyed amongst the delegation of the Democrats. Let's just say Chink Uger. Chink Uger would have came up there and totally sabotaged. I'm telling you, that's what he would have did. That would have spilt disunity and basically solidify his message of downplaying Democratic strategy. Rashida Tlaib, because she's already done it. Not come up there and solidify the delegation of the Democrats. I'm not disagreeing that there couldn't have been somebody that was spoke. It had to be a situation where it because the message has to be broad enough, so to speak, in order to convey what you're trying to convey, at the same time bring a solidified movement around your agenda from a more broader sense of the Democratic Party. And I don't think anybody could have did that. Not at that particular time. The protests outside proved that.
So it would be too risky.
Too risky.
Okay.
From a strategic standpoint. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, Ricardo, what do you think? Do you think that was a good look? And also, what do you think about Kamala Harris's speech overall?
Well, Kamala's speech was very defining. I thought it was a very important speech, a speech that cements her place in terms of the historical breaking the glass moment that Hillary wasn't able to accomplish. And I know she's feeding through her teeth right now, trying to, ask the idea that someone else is going to usurp her in terms of where she's going to be going with this historical important stature that's about to take place. All in all, I think I get what people are saying. She's not your typical Hillary. She's not your typical President Obama. She doesn't speak like how they would speak, but I don't want her to speak like that. I want her to speak like Kamala. Again, I'm saying her name wrong. Kamala. Kamala is not the word that we're supposed to be saying. It's Kamala. Kama and then la. As
Trump said it's 7 different ways you can say it.
So all in all, I think she defined herself. She cemented her role into the historical archives of what the Democratic Party nominee should be. She laid out her blueprint, her groundwork as for what she's trying to do. Now, was she able to say everything in that one accord of the speech? Probably not. This is where the going on to the campaign trail comes into play here. She's gonna have to like lay out that groundwork more for people who are still skeptical or still not sure, or maybe trying to lean elsewhere. She's gonna have to do that on the campaign trail, as well as when she starts doing an interview with the press. I think she's skipping that for now, but she can't ignore the press for too long. It's becoming a little bit of a problem for the right. They want to be able to get her on
Tomorrow.
so when that time comes, she has to be prepared. And I think this is what I've been saying the whole time when it comes to the honeymoon period. It's all good and dandy for you to be all, wallowed up in the glory and the beauty of the moment. But you have to get down to the task of the nitty gritty now. You're going to have to, get to that work. And the media now is really trying to get interviews going with her to see where they could gauge her from. She's going to have to be prepared. I think she's afraid of the whole border situation that she had, been in charge with. And let's be fair, that wasn't really something that she should have been a part of. I think they needed to give her something because, how do you pick a VP and don't utilize her? And I think they did it such a great disservice to her when, everybody in the Black community was like, okay, how do you pick a Black woman and then you don't play upon her, her credentials? It's kind of like, oh, let's just put her in the immigration work. And they knew damn well that it was more pivotal than how it should have been. But I digress. I think all in all, she now has to prepare herself for the mudslinging. It's now going to get to that point because we're heading into the first presidential debate, which Donald Trump, and her campaign is saying that they want the mics to be unmuted because we want to see the unhinged side of him and how he speaks. And they know how that's going to play into the role of how the women voters are going to vote. Now, Trump is saying on one hand, he doesn't, he's not going to do the speech unless the mic is muted. And on the other hand, she's saying she won't do it unless the mic is unmuted. So we'll see how this plans out. I think they're just bluffing at this point. But we all know we're trying to see this debate going. We want to see how they're going to interact with each other, the prosecutor side of her, the unhinged side of him. We want to see it all. We want to see how we're going to be able to move past how the first one went with Biden compared to her. I think she will do well. I think, he's going to beat Trump. Nothing's going to change. But leading into the election, it's going to, for those of you who are still undecided, I don't know why, but it's going to make or break, who's going to be propelled into the office. Could the speech have been better, Rankat and MD? Maybe in some portions, yes. But my problem now is those fringe part of the Democratic Party, those people that are complaining about Palestine again. I implore this and I will say this, it's unfortunate of what has been transpiring in the Middle East when it comes to Palestine. It's amazing how much my stance have changed compared to Palestine in regards to Israel and Palestine. If you had told me this a decade ago, I would have told you the opposite. But I don't see Palestine going anywhere from off that map. Palestine has always been on the map. It's not a region where it's, surrounded by Muslim countries that have always fought for its place being there. And if you don't believe me that Palestine has always been in the map, you need to go back and look into your historical archives because it's always going to be called. It was always called Palestine before Israel was placed there in 1945 as a country, and that's a whole topic for another conversation for another time. But for those people that are doing this whole argumentative stance of, oh, I won't vote for her because of her stance with Palestine, lest we forget that when Netanyahu came here, she did not meet with him, and that was strategically done. Lest we forget that she's called out how Israel has been treating Palestine on numerous occasions. So it's not like we haven't heard her stance. We know what her stance are compared to a number of other people. She's not wishy-washy on this topic. She's always going to fight in the cause of, making sure that Palestine gets its due justice in terms of how it's being treated. And there's there's a number or plethora of atrocities that are being committed across the board that the Israeli government needs to be accounted for. But, that's one of the reasons why she never met with, Netanyahu, and she won't meet with him because of the atrocities. So when you're going to see you're not going to vote for her on account of those things, it's kind of like, what are you complaining about? Because she doesn't need to publicly do all of this, nonsense that you're trying so hard for her to do. when she's already made that clear in the media, and she's made that clear in other, instances when she spoke about the issue. So that's all further. As per usual, it's politics. It comes with propaganda. It comes with all of that. And I'm sure Trump is going to use it to his advantage. All in all, Israel's not going to go anywhere. And I'm sure, like MD has mentioned, and Palestine is not going to go anywhere on account of it's the other, Islamic countries that are in the region. It's just a powder keg that's going to continue going. Should there be some relevancy where Palestine can be self-governing? I absolutely think so. Will Israel allow that? Probably not. Just like China will never allow India to be on the Security Council in the United Nations, but that's a whole topic for another time. But all in all, great speech, Kamala. I think it's now time for you to get to work, and it's now time for you to speak and do the interviews. And even if you mess up on the first one, let it be. But you need to start getting out there. You need to start making people know about you. You need to start going out to the swing states, and don't do what Hillary did, where she ignored certain states. Go into those states that you see Trump is going into and try to troll him at the same time and get those voters. Because if you can do that, you will gauge enough people to hop on your side, and I think you should be fine.
Well, I don't think that this is a Sarah Palin type situation. I think Donald Trump is doing what Donald Trump does, try to set a narrative out there. I don't know how all of a sudden Kamala Harris speaking is some sort of must-watch situation. I don't think that's an issue. I think he's trying to make it an issue because he needs an issue. So we'll see what happens, but ain't not going to happen except for what should happen. She's going to have an interview, and that's it. But for some reason, Donald Trump needs to put pressure on this having some kind of problem. So we'll see. I guess he's used to Biden messing up.
Let me ask you, Venkat, do you believe that how do you think, because Dana Bash is the one that's interviewing her, how do you think Dana Bash gonna go about that interview? Do you think she gonna try to coddle it, or do you think she gonna put pressure on Kamala?
I think she should put pressure on. I think she will. I think she will bring up legitimate criticisms or perceived criticisms, and I think Kamala at that point should handle it. Like the misconception that she was in charge of the border when Joe Biden assigned her to that or whatever, that's not true though. And she had no funding or nothing to deal with the border. Her mission was to assess the situation in the border and bring back a report. She had no, she didn't have anything to do with, let's control the border. And that's the thing that the Trump and the Republicans, MAGA Republicans, are trying to use as a misrepresentation, as they always do, because there's nothing based in legitimacy with them. So this is her moment, and I hope Dana Bash brings those perceived hardball questions, because that's exactly what she needs so that she can put it out there in the public. A lot of people are going to be watching this interview. This is a perfect situation and scenario for her to do it. So I can't wait. All right. So I guess right now it's time for us to go into session. So tonight we're going to head south, and we're going to go in session and figure out who is the trash bag human of the week. And this week, we lame ducking to the fullest. Hit it.
First things first, in this lame duck session.
For the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These eyes. You want to see a bird graveyard? You just go. Take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life.
White dudes for Harris right here, and I'm not going to put it on for one reason, I don't want to mess up my hair, but two, I'm not for Harris, so I'm going to give it to you. A white dude for Harris. You are white, right? You're white. So
I'll give it to my father-in-law.
Okay. You wear that. You wear that, Harold. I give this as a gift. And you put it on your beautiful head.
I appreciate that. Red, white.
You won't wear it. So you're not a Harris supporter.
I am.
You're not going to mess up your hair. Look at it.
I'm a
Come on, Harold. Put the hat on.
Decided to taunt the black co-host with white dudes for Harris hat. It is.
Is Kamala trying to copy the red MAGA hat? The Harris campaign making $1 million off of Harris Wall's camel hats, which Teen Vogue calls the new quote-unquote status symbol for Democrats. Did you order your camel hat yet, or did you do something else?
I got another hat. I got white dudes for Harris right here, and I'm not going to put it on for one reason, I don't want to mess up my hair, but two, I'm not for Harris, so I'm going to give it to you. A white dude for Harris. You are white, right? You're white. So you have?
I'll give it to my father-in-law.
Okay. You wear that. You wear that, Harold. I give this as a gift.
Thank you.
And you put it on your beautiful head.
I appreciate that. Red, white,
you won't wear it. So you're not a Harris supporter.
I am.
You're not going to mess up your hair. Look at it.
I'm a huge.
Come on, Harold. Put the hat on.
Your Honor, what are your thoughts about Jesse's hat and his camo hat?
Harold's not white. So probably not going to wear it because of that reason. Put it up. Harold, I know, brother. I know you're not going to say it. You want to whoop his ass in that studio for that. And I know you had to laugh rather than get angry because you're at Fox News, safe haven for all things racist. I mean, if he would have treated you the way a colleague treated Faulkner, said, do you like Kool-Aid on live news? Per Mediaite, Fox News host Jesse Waters pressed his black Democratic co-host, Harold Ford Jr., to wear a white dudes for Harris hat, repeatedly insisting that the former congressman was white and asking if he was half, as his colleague hesitated to entertain the bit, prompting other guests to ask Waters to just stop it. Some users online were quick to note Ford Jr.'s parents are both black. So of course that means that they passed the new white-black test. Also in a segment by Ford Jr. about the Harris campaign or Harris campaign merchandise, a camel print Harris Wall's hat, not unlike the red MAGA hats worn by supporters of former President Donald Trump. Waters pulled out the hat during Thursday's show, The Five, mocking the campaign's group called Drive to Connect with different groups of voters. Meanwhile, for Midas touch. Donald Trump reposted a racist meme, monstrosity that darkened VP Kamala Harris's face and gave her the body of a dung beetle. Look at this, man. Look at this. Trump's meme implies the coconut, a symbol some use to show support for Harris' campaign, is a ball of animal poop. And it was ahead of his announced press conference at his Mar-a-Lago Country Club. This was at his home on Thursday. Trump reposted a meme. Dung beetles feast on animal feces, and the kind depicted in Trump's awful meme are known as rollers because they roll around animal dung as a traveling food source. And they roll it toward the sun, etc. You can find this even in some ancient Egyptology. But he meant it to be really, really vulgar, disrespectful. But he says people are just so nasty to him. I mean, she's just a nasty lady, just so mean. The reporter didn't ask me how I was doing. All right, so as Midas Touch noted, Trump's reposted meme is a MAGA version of an actual New York Magazine cover showing Harris and others celebrating her presidential run. In the center is a large coconut with VP Harris celebrating on top. So that is what they decided to pervert. The depiction of Harris shows her with mouth open and an angry face, wearing a gold chain, but with the body of a dung beetle. The caption on this fake magazine cover asks, quote, "Are you buying or BS? Darkening the skin tone of black people is a racist act." Many campaigns have done this before. Had a few of them get caught. But it is unclear if the darkened skin is supposed to be a darker version of our own skin or supposed to represent the feces. We don't know. Another in the long line of racist attacks against VP Harris included this ex-post by actor Kevin Sorbo saying, "If Kamala really is black, have her say the N-word. Let the people decide for themselves." Well, Kevin, how about you say it?
This is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse Waters. Jesse, I don't like that.
Figuratively,
Take
again,
it back.
have their way with her, control her, not in a sexual way.
What a despicable thing to say. And then Jesse Waters then says, well, my mom is probably going to be on MSNBC talking about how much she loves Vice President Kamala Harris. I think Jesse Waters has some deep-seated issues here. Here, play this clip.
That would be great. You know, like your sister does something and you're like speaking on behalf of the Waters family. I'm sure my mother was probably go on MSNBC tonight and said, my son, Jesse Waters, made a joke about Kamala Harris being manhandled by generals in the Situation Room. And he has desecrated the memory of our grandfather. And it's disgusting. I could see my mom doing that. And I wish I had a political dynasty so I could take shots as well.
We appreciate that. All right. You know what, Greg?
I will play this clip for you, Jesse Waters, because I know your mom is actually a very big fan of the Midas Touch Network. And she warned you, Jesse, about your behavior, spreading conspiracies and using your platform to harm people. Remember, Jesse, when your mother said this? Play this clip.
We have a very special guest on the line, a Democrat, my mom. Mom? How have you... Hello there, Mom. How have you enjoyed the show so far?
I have enjoyed the show. I want to say congratulations, Honey Bun. We are so proud of you and your accomplishments, and you've worked so hard. Now let's aim to have you keep your job. And to that end, I do have some suggestions.
Okay.
Do not tumble into any conspiracy rabbit holes. We do not want to lose you, and we want no lawsuits.
Okay.
In keeping, I have a list here. In keeping with the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. We need you to be kind and respectful. You yourself mentioned that humble is a stretch, so I get that. Use your voice responsibly to promote conversation that maintains a narrative thread. There really has been enough Biden bashing, and the laptop is old. Perhaps you could suggest that your people take less interest, for example, in other people's bodies and talk about that.
All right. All right. There he is. There he is. There he goes. Put the spotlight on number 53. Trash bag human of the week. Lame duck number 53, Jesse Waters. MD, what do you think about our number 53 lame duck?
Yeah, thank you for my putting in my suggestion. Jesse Waters been on one for the past few weeks now. You did your due diligence and put in the situation with the generals in the situation room thing, because that just happened like a few days ago. I don't know what's going on with Jesse Waters. I think he's nestled into the role as, I guess you would say, the top guy, maybe, at Fox News. So now he's feeling himself as far as like some of the stuff that he's saying. Now that's not to take away what his role was prior to Tucker Carlson, you know what I mean? Because he was still like on some crazy stuff. But I think he's upped it a notch. For him to say, first of all, he's lucky that he didn't get punched in the face on live TV.
Yep.
With the whole situation with the hat. Because if it was me, that's what I would have did. I would have took the consequences and rolled with it. You know what I mean? For you to, I mean, how racist can you be to pull something like that on live TV and think it's okay and not look at it as being a expression of not only radical racial tones or hell, a physical epithet, colorism was in play. You know, like that's just what it is. Like Ford, he looked the way he looked, but he's a black person, like a real black person. You know what I mean? He ain't Kamala black, he black.
He
But black.
He might come across uppity Negro, but he's black.
Yeah. Yeah. Uppity Negro. Yeah, for sure. I ain't gonna argue with you on that. Yeah. IT black. Yeah, that's a great. That was a great one. But that's what he is. So again, I don't see how Jesse Waters ain't in the hospital right now. Because I would have put him there. I definitely would have put him there. The SA situation. How dumb can you be? Even if you didn't intentionally mean it in that way. How dumb can you be to insinuate a situation like that off a contextualization of what you perceive Kamala Harris to be from an emotional or intellectual standpoint? Going back, Trevor, pay attention. You can play this whole episode pretty much on Man Talk Monday next week. Like if you ain't gonna be there next week, just replay this episode, because it goes back to what we're saying. And I think you've even said it, Trevor. A lot of these men don't believe. Take black out of it. A lot of these men don't believe that women have the fortitude in any capacity, nor the intellectual wherewithal to be able to lead a country. But these people ain't stupid. They know how the government works. Jesse Waters know how the government works. He sat there and said, he's talking about the generals like the chiefs of staff, joint chiefs of staff, et cetera, et cetera. These are the people that advise the president on foreign affairs. Why would they take advantage? First of all, you have to ask yourself a question. Why would these people take advantage of the president when their job is to advise based off their expertise? I mean, by logic, that would be taking advantage anyway, because the president got to rely on their expertise from a foreign strategic standpoint. So what are we talking about? What president comes into the gate with all this military strategic know-how, unless they come from that background, and the bulk majority of them don't? What are we talking about? You use that situation to put an emphasis on women can't lead. That's exactly what you did. Not only did you use that situation to put emphasis on that, you used a trope rooted in SA to identify it. You know it's bad, and I think Ben Marcellus said this as well. You know it's bad when Janine Pirro looking at you funny, like what's that? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we're in a bad situation for. I'm telling you, the final battle is at hand. Men versus women, along color lines, however you want to put it. But this going to expose a lot of men. This election is going to expose a lot of men on how they feel, where their position is as it's perceived by society, which is fake in all intents and purposes. And the black pill is coming. I'm telling you it's coming. Let Kamala get into that Oval Office. It's going to be doom and gloom from here to 2028. That's a fact.
All right, thank you, MD. So, Ricardo, what do you think about the trash bag human of the week? Number 53, Jesse Waters.
Yeah, very well deserving. He's beyond a scumbag for the things that he has said. I've seen. I think I saw the interview in live action actually. So it was very shocking to like even see him even do the whole pass the hat and merchandise over to a black man and ask him if he's he's what that like the colorism of it all. And this is where you hear me say every week that it's such a dangerous path to go down, especially if Trump does this. You cannot do it because there's different shades of black when it comes to this community. Now you could say, all right, maybe I didn't know he was black, just looking at the skin color, but just his mannerisms give you black. So I don't understand why that he knew that too. So I don't know why is it that he, all of a sudden decided to go, but then it doesn't surprise me. These are the type of people that, I guess he's trying to aim to be Tucker Carlson or Rush Limbaugh and the rest of them. Dude, you're trying too hard, because now when you make other people on your own program cringe, and for them to say take it back, it's giving the vibes of, yeah, dude, you're kind of overdoing it. You're really pushing it. And then when you brought up the old essay comment about the generals, dude, like really, there's a time and place, and I could get men doing kitchen table talk or barbershop talk, but that is not appropriate. You need to draw yourself back and know where your audience lie and know when to utilize certain things. It was beyond inappropriate for him to even bring that up. Second of all, sir, if you know better, Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom ruled for 50-something years. In fact, she could have literally beat her own grandmother in terms of how she ruled for that long. And guess who was her advisors? Men. So what was the point that you're trying to bring at? Like, I was still confused. So MD does bring a valid point. I think it comes down to, I think a lot of men are not, there yet. They're not readily prepared for the instance of a woman leading this country. And I think it's the industrial complex, or the military industrial complex that we've had for so long, where I don't think they've ever pictured women fitting in that role. But needless to say, I think Waters just it was just given cringe, disgusting, misogynistic vibes. And this is the same thing I've been talking about leading up from about a couple weeks back. You cannot lean into the misogyny. You cannot lean into the race colorism thing. It just won't work, because you're going to push women who watch the program to be disgusted, and even his own mother at that. You know it's bad when your own mother, who is a Democrat, is saying, I love you, son, but please do not lean into certain talking points. It just won't help you. You know, I'm proud of your accomplishment, but just don't lean into them because it doesn't help you. In the end, it's just going to make you look cringy, just like how we find the VP pick from Donald Trump to be weird. It's kind of like that kind of vibe. That's what you're giving. You're giving off kind of weird vibes, sir. So that ain't cute. You know what I'm saying? I feel bad for you if you have a wife and daughters, sir, because that's just, no, that ain't it. So Fox News, do better. Waters, do better. Your family's looking at you like, why would you even say that? And you have a mother at that. Can you imagine somebody saying that about your own mother, sir? So, you know, it's disgusting. It's cringy. It's gross. And lean off of this whole colorism vibe thing. Because like MD said, if I was in Ford's shoe, I would have punched you in your mouth. Flat out broke. That they would have had to go into immediate timeout in terms of the programming. You were out of line, and you were out of context, and you could do better. So, you know, that's where when you heard the on the CNN programming when they were calling out that woman for being racist, you were clearly being racist there. So I don't want to hear you talk about, oh, but I have black friends and I have black people that come in this program. None of that would have saved you, because you came across very, very racist in that instance, and it's not a good look. So I don't expect better from Fox News. Everything is about money and ratings and all of that, but y'all could do better. Do better. But Waters is really deserving of the lame duck session of the week. Lame duck, pathetic, disgusting, cringe moron of the week. And you literally beat Trump to it this week. So congrats.
Hey, also, kudos on the honorable duck, Kevin Sorbo. Who the hell listening to what Kevin Sorbo got to say in 2024?
Exactly.
Who listens to Hercules? Like what are we talking about? And that's another one that would have got punched in the mouth.
Oh yeah.
Talking about telling them to say the N-word.
Yeah,
what is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, like really, I didn't even. But then again, that's why what's his name was like, why don't you say it? Because you know you can't say it. Y'all know you're fighting so hard to seed your teeth to say the word. You can't say it. So why would you want Kamala to say it? Like, that's just weird to me. Like, these people are weird in terms of their warped mind of thinking. Like, why would you say that? Lame duck indeed. He should have been the honorable mention. Because Lord, what are we doing? Hercules, do better. Because that's why Xena was always, let me stop. Because Xena looked way better.
Yeah, that was the better show anyway.
Yeah, we all prefer Xena any day. So you were always lame. Next, sir, you're lame.
Instead of being like these trash bag humans, you need to be more like Gus. In a world full of Kyle Rittenhouses, be a Gus Walls.
For real.
I can go with that.
All right. So we are here towards the end of the show. So, of course, we like to go ahead and give our final sign-offs. So let's start with Ricardo. Ricardo, final sign-off, sir.
Yep. So all in all, we wrapped up a fantastic Democratic convention with no mention. I mean, other than talking about Donald Trump, I'm sure he's in his Marsha phase with it's always Marsha. Well, now it's Kamala. Yeah, we're gonna call her name more and more going into the election, sir. I know you see it in through your teeth because nobody's giving you that time of day and attention that you want because you're so self-indulgent. But sir, you played stupid games and you won stupid prizes because you kept making fun of Joe Biden, and here we are. We chose Kamala, and there's nothing you can do about it because we're now heading to the election. So all in all, what can you do, sir? Nothing. So great show, guys. Looking forward to next week. My new logo, if you haven't noticed, is called Uppity Negro. I'm going to be the Uppity Negro going forward because we need a lot of Uppity Negroes to step forward for jobs because they're taking all our black jobs and we need to do something about it. So Uppity Negroes we are. And we look forward to next week's show. There's a lot going on in this world, and we haven't touched on half of it. But, election cycles come and go, and we're very fickle-minded Americans. So God bless America, and God bless the United States, and peace on out.
God bless you. God bless Israel. God bless the Palestinians. And God bless the United States. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So let's go to MD20. MD, final sign off, sir.
Yes, sir. Great show as always, man. Very pertinent topic, and this is a discussion that's going to move forward as we see the Harris Walls campaign progress. Hey, just when you thought it was over when it comes to the federal election case, Jack Smith revised it today. He said, "Look, I'm a double."
This is not fear. I should not be put to them indignancies.
Hey, there you go. So he doubled down today. He revised the indictment. He trying to work around the whole immunity thing and everything that they tried to use as a stumbling block. Kudos to Jack Smith for using his legal mind to up the state. We gonna see how that plays out.
This is not fear. I should not be put to them indignancies.
So yeah, so hey, that's what's going on with that, man. Hey, it's about to wrap up, folks. We down to what, 70 days now? 70, 69? I don't lost count.
Yes, we
But
are.
hey, we going down that final stretch. Hell, I don't know what we're gonna talk about after the election.
The last thing my mother told me before she passed away. Oliver, never you pick up a ignorant woman, because those types always hold you back in life.
Hey, do you expect me to know what the hell these people are saying, Because I don't.
Yes,
How can you not? He's saying English.
He's saying patois. I don't know nothing about none of that. I don't know nothing about none of it.
It's real clear to me. I can't understand everything.
I like I said, I don't speak coconut. I can't. I don't understand that. But
this is not fear. I should not be put to them indignancies.
Hey, shout out to everybody, man. Like I said, we wrapping up, man. It's the final countdown. I put a bug in your ear for next week, Van Cat, lame duck. Just a suggestion.
Yep.
Wink, wink, RFK, and I say peace to everybody.
Yeah, RFK. I've been wanting to get him on for weeks. This nigga.
Well, you got a reason now.
Well, I had a reason. He's killing bears. He's got worms in his head. I mean,
he cut off Bill's head and all this crap that he said he'd been doing. Yeah.
The way got me. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's wild. He's wild. I got there's 6 lame ducks. I'm like, I got one lame duck that I should have done 3 months ago. I'm still holding on to it. Yeah. Anyway, so do you have a show coming up soon, MD?
Let me put it to you this way. I got it scheduled. This coming up Thursday, 8:30. The truth about black conservatives. Even if I do the show at 12 o'clock at this point, I'm doing it. So be on the lookout for it. Like I said, you might not catch it live, but I'm doing it. I don't care anymore. Like I said, I literally just stopped just now. So, like I said, by hell or high water, I'm gonna do it, even if it's 12, 1 o'clock at night. So it's a go.
All right, so you got to check out the MD20 YouTube channel.
MD20. Peace. What's going on? What's happening? MD's Thought Box. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a wonderful day. Wonderful day. I hope you was able to spend time with family and friends. I'm going to ask you the last question. Who are you?
What you mean? Who am I?
To whom in which I'm speaking with right now.
You gonna turn around and tell that man?
Red alert. All hands stand.
Now you want to play victim. You know what you done.
I'm no victim. I ain't no victim at all. No, everything I said, I take.
I know you're not no victim.
Warning. You're the babble detected.
No, you're not no victim because you done what you done. You used that man's channel to get at me.
System overload.
We gone.
That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
But to any event, peace. What's up? Can everybody hear me out there in YouTube land? Can everybody hear me? You know what I'm saying? Because we still gonna get it in. We still gonna get it in for today's topic. We definitely gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody give me a green light. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, I'm in the thought box. You know what I'm saying? Now I will say, as always, man, the doors of the church for MD's Thought Box Live is open.
MD20.
All right.
Better myself.
Check out MD20 YouTube, the MD20 YouTube channel. Political prophet amongst men, amongst mere mortal men. All right. So, I'd like to thank everybody on the panel, the world's most dangerous political panel. We got MD20, we got Ricardo, Mike, Jeremy Dunbar, the technician. Peace to Mr. Straight Talk, Trevor. Shout out to Tequila. Shout out to Bones, Zay, Nini, Dr. Mia. Everybody, if I'm missing you, I'm sorry. So many people in the society. We're going to be back next week. We'll be taking a look at Kamala's first sit-down interview with her VP, Tim Walz, on CNN. We'll be looking at that, amongst other things. There's always news dropping, so we'll be there. Let me see. Am I forgetting? Wrestling with Reality? MD? Wrestling with Reality?
Yeah. I believe we got it tomorrow, right?
Yeah. All right. So we got Wrestling with Reality.
The See It tribute and the All In review, and I believe we're gonna do a preview of the Bash of Berlin show.
Yes. So tomorrow at 6. Well, it used to be 6:05, but I think he changed it to 6:30. I believe he did.
Yeah. I believe it's 6:30. I believe.
Yeah, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. It'll be tomorrow on this channel, Straight Talk with Trevor. Until tomorrow, I'd like to say peace to everyone. Have a great evening, and we'll see you on the next. Peace.
Peace.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.